This season marks a new beginning. New heights will be reached. New records will be broken. A new champion will be crowned. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. You're watching the premier American open wheel series on iRacing. The Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment starts now.
They call the machines IndyCars because of this place, the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which today plays host to the second jewel in the Lionheart IndyCar Series Triple Crown. It's the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500. Presented by First Medical Equipment, it's round 10 on the 2018 season schedule, and all the action from green flag to the sip of milk can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing channel. From the Hoosier State, hello and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel's Countdown to Green. presented by the SimPit. As cyberspace flows into your place over these 15 streaming award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate all the simulated Dallara IRT action that will immediately follow as we count down to green for the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500. And here to do all of that is yours truly, Bill Soupson, joined way up in the press box to bring you our bird's eye view by former Real World IndyCar driver Richie Hearn and by longtime Lionheart partner Sean Crackers Ambrose. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is the doctor of pitsapology himself. I'm Jed Yaman, armed with cameras located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, Dougie Beer. Now, I personally have been watching the Real World Indy 500 since Parnelli Jones in his strange turbine machine came so close to winning back in 1967. I've listened to the likes of Jackie Stewart, Bobby Unser, Sam Posey, Eddie Cheever, to name just a few, describe what it's like to get around this place. I almost have to pinch myself as I have the honor to reintroduce my late mother's favorite Real World driver, Richie Hearn, to do just that. Tell us about historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Richie?
Thanks, Soup. Yep. And folks, before I talk about the track, let me remind you that everything during the countdown to green comes courtesy of its sponsor, the SimPit, an entertainment channel dedicated to sim racing. Its focus is to bring you news, reviews, and information from around the world about sim racing hardware and software. It also focuses on what it takes to be a better sim racer with instructional video and how-tos that will help your performance to the virtual track. Check it out at thesimpit.com. And speaking of virtual tracks, let's talk about today's venue. Here we are at my favorite racetrack in the whole world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, located conveniently in Speedway, Indiana. This place was built in 1909. It's 2.5 miles long. It's got two 5/8 mile long straightaways with 4 geometrically identical quarter-mile turns. Even though they all look the same, they all drive very different. Second purpose-built bank oval racing circuit after Brooklands, and it's the first to be called a Speedway. It's also designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1987, and it's the only such site to be affiliated with automotive racing history. But best way to get an idea what it really feels like to go around this place, let's jump on board and take a lap around IMS on the GSRC onboard car.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see another track guide here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Yazek. This is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a track that needs no introduction, and this is the IndyCar, the IR18. Without further ado, here we go, across the yard of bricks, down off into turn one. You're really going to want to plant that left side tire, probably right underneath that line. Careful not to hit the rumble strips, let it float out. Back down here again, underneath that line. Don't hit the rumble strips, don't let it float out to the wall. Keep a little bit of a gap there. That way the air doesn't get trapped and actually could slow you down just a little bit. But especially at a lap at this speed, every little bit counts. Down here into turn 3 once again. Across the short chute, down into turn 4. Steady hands make the most speed here at Indianapolis, out towards the fence. Now, there's not going to be a whole lot of room to run as the race progresses. Your main passing opportunities are the front and the back stretch. Down here into turn 1 again, you see you can maybe go a little bit higher than that, but I wouldn't go too much further. Car will kind of wash out. These cars produce such a huge aero weight. You're going to see guys defending runs all the way down this backstretch, all the way down here to the line, trying to weave, break the draft a little bit, moving all around, but it all funnels back into turn 3, where you have to get back down, put that tire underneath the white line, hook it just a little bit out towards the wall. Down, here we go, into turn 4. And then one of the prettiest sights in all of racing, coming down here, the funnel of fans. You get a lot of tunnel vision, but here we go across the line, and that is going to complete our track guide here around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
A lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and now, please join Hans Millowa for the singing of Back Home Again in Indiana.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems like I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. Then I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
Hans Miller's unique interpretation of Back Home Again in Indiana. And now let's go ahead and have my interpretation here of the points. Let's go ahead and look at those right now. As we bring those up, you can see that Brian Yosick is up a spot, and Andrew Kinsella falls down a spot into second place. Now, Yosick has 2 wins, Kinsella with 3 wins. No wins for James Grahula, who sits in third but within striking distance. Jason Galvin and Joe Brandt. Look at all the shuffling going on in those positions. They're up 3 spots. Michael Goodman. Another driver with 2 wins is Adam Blocker, but he's sitting down there in 8th position. Let's go ahead and look now at the team championship. Bring those up, and you can see that it's Adrenaline Motorsports comfortably out in front by 133 points, and you got Blocker, Branch, Kinsella, Schowen, and Stouffer doing the work there. Moving up a spot, though, is the No Name Racing. They are a big name to be called No Name Racing, and they're starting to come around with Daigle, Galvin, Hazard, and Krahula doing the work. Following the spot, Synergy Motorsports. The upstart Loud Pedal holding station in 4th, with Yosick doing most of the heavy lifting for that team. Dragonfly Racing having a good season in 5th position. Big Dropper, Skidmark Motorsports falls 2 spots down. Now, with that said and done, let's go ahead and look at the rookie standings. We're going to have Richie Hearn take a peek at those.
Yeah, here we have the rookie standings coming up on your screen. No change in the 1st and 2nd position, with Larkamp and Weaver holding that down. Got a bunch of changes, though, in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th position, with Ryman moving up 1, Workman moving down 1. We got Johnson moving up to 5th from 6th, and Beard moving down from 5th to 6th, with very close positioning right there. We got Cordy moving up 2 spots into 7th, Dupree in 8th, and Ken Hacker in 9th, moving up 1 spot, and McKenna moving down 3 spots to the 10th spot.
And, of course, all those standings come courtesy of our sponsors. The Drivers' Championship, of course, presented by First Medical Equipment. They've been around with the Lionheart guys for a long time. The Team Championship comes courtesy of HPP Simulations. And, of course, the Rookie Championship come courtesy of Butt Kicker. You know, considered the premier fixed setup racing league for the Delara IR18 on the iRacing service, the Lionheart IndyCar Series honors the memory of the late Dan Weldon. And I know that Dan would be smiling right now, as coming back, Professor Lugnut's here again, this time in the form of Sean Crackers Ambrose, to go ahead and do our setup corner. Sean, what am I learning about today?
So we're going to talk a little bit about turbo and boost. Now, this Delara IR18 has a 2.2-liter V6 motor that produces about 700 horsepower. In other words, an engine about the size of one you'd find in a Chevy Cruze, which has about a 200 horsepower motor, and it makes about 3.5 times that amount of power. Now, some of this power is generated through tuning and architecture of the motor, the fuel used, and of course not having to run a muffler. But really, the majority of the power difference, it comes down to the parts that they use to put these engines together. The Borg-Warner turbochargers. Let's talk about those. They use the exhaust gases of the engine to spin the turbine in the turbo. Now, that turbine turns another small fan that compresses the cold air entering the combustion chamber of the engine. Stay with me. By compressing that air, you pack more air into the combustion chamber, which in turn allows you to put in more fuel, which in turn allows you to make more power from the same engine. Now, turbo power is measured in boost pressure. Normal atmospheric conditions are around 14 to 15 pounds per square inch. In a typical passenger car equipped with a turbo, you might get an extra 6 to 8 pounds of boost from that turbo. In an Indy car, You get anywhere from about 19 to 23 pounds per square inch, depending on the circuit. This equates to doubling the horsepower of a non-turbocharged version of the same engine. Here at Indy, though, the IndyCar actually allows 2 different boost levels. In qualifying, you get 21 PSI of boost, while in the race, you only get 19. That means you have slightly less power on tap for the race. But don't worry, the cars will still be a handful for these drivers today.
I was listening to that. I didn't hear anything about the Bernoulli effect. No Bernoulli effect involved.
No, not in play today, but Richie has a good point about boost there.
He does? What's
Yeah, when I was running, we were running up to 40 inches of boost. We were getting 970 horsepower out of these things.
That's when men were men and avocados were not part of pineapples was not put on a pizza. All right, let's go ahead and talk to something more easily to understand. Let's talk about the series details.
Yeah, and these series details come to us thanks to the SimPit. Here we are. We're in Season 6 and Round 10 of 24, as was mentioned earlier. We do get 3 drops, so these points will change during the course of the season. We're obviously using the new Dallara IR18. The setups are adjusted fixed, so they're not open. And we're working on cash and prizes totaling $6,402.
My local pizza place makes a bacon, lettuce, and tomato pizza. Avocados on up. It's unbelievable. Hey, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, give your thumbs up or thumbs down to pineapple on pizza. I know how I vote on that one. All right. Well, we've got all of the nonsense out of the way. Let's go ahead now and talk about what's going on the track. Qualifying happening. Dan Guerin, the man who has no luck at all this season, sitting at the top of qualifying, putting in a time. Richie, it almost feels wrong. I wish I could to do a qualifying by time. This seems wrong at Indianapolis. 39.6.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me either. It's all about speed.
It's the only track where there really is. They do it 225 miles an hour. It's all about speed. Always has been at Indy. Justin Weaver sitting in second.
Yeah, these guys are just finishing up here. Looks like we got a few left to take some laps, and then we'll have the grid set. Everything's really close. I mean, you can see those times from 39.64 for first right now all the way down to basically 27th spot. 29th spot is only about a 10th of a second, so tough to make time and speed. But in the end, it's 200 laps, so you're not really worried about it too much.
We are a full-on 500 miles today, a complete simulation of the real-world Indy 500. These drivers have been preparing for it. They're racing not on their usual day, which is Wednesday nights. Everyone making sure that they have this Sunday available to put in 500 miles. Looks like qualifying is done. So you know what? It's about time to go racing. And when it is time to go racing, nothing beats the feel of a true hydraulic braking system from HPP Simulations. Now, they're not going to be using a lot of braking here at Indianapolis, but if you're ever on a road course, you want something that's designed and manufactured in the USA on state-of-the-art CNC equipment. HPP hydraulic brake pedals and their accessories set the standard for simulation racing. For more information, please visit hppsimulation.com. With that said, let's go to the HPP starting grid right now. I'll take the top 10. Dan Guerin sitting on pole ahead of Justin Weaver. Row 2 is Brian Yosef with Ken Hacker. Third row is the Pennsylvania rookie Stefan Larkamp inside of Andrew Havakech-Kinsella. Brian, it's not easy being Greenlee in 7th position inside of Michael Goodman. The 5th row is going to be populated by Brian Beard and George Anzaldo. But Richie, who's next?
Yeah, coming up on row 6, it's going to be Woody Mayhem and Mitchell Moeller. Row 7 is going to be Jason Galvin and Pierre Daigle. Row 8 will be Big Joe Hesser and Ron Hacker. Row 9 will be Bob Mikas, Ian Adams. Row 10 is going to be our buddy Samuel Ryman and Peter Edwards.
And Sean, who do you got after that?
Yes, that's going to be row 11. It's going to be Dave Cordy and Christopher. And then in row 12, Isaiah Dupree, Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman. Row 13, Matthew Mercer and Tyler Graff. Row 14, Scott Polster and Greg West. Row 15, Bart Workman and the Racing Kangaroo, Michael Gray in the field today, starting 30th.
And it wouldn't be a race unless we didn't have a full field, and we do. Jack Bogan, Joe Branch in 31st and 32nd, Adam Blocker, Scott Johnson, Finishing in the next row, Chris Lanini put in a qualifying time ahead of Robert Bluen. Some drivers did not put in qualifying times. Tony Schowen, James Grahula, Vincent Blumenthal, Brandon Lemkeman. You know, the urge was just too great as Richie Hearn signed in as a driver. He will not be racing. He will be up in the booth. And Dylan McKenna out there in 42nd position. 41 drivers make the field, but it would not be an IndyCar Lionheart Series without onboard cameras. Let's look at Bob Mikas in his familiar Von Hansen's meat machine. If you don't have any Von Hansen's meats, if you don't like meat, order up their seasoned pretzels. Oh, man, it's good. Let's go to Robert Bluen. He's going to be racing in the Patrick Taylor Memorial logo there on that machine in the Memorial car. And then Jack Bogan in the iRace for Gage onboard camera. Boys, we've got it all done. Now it's nothing but the racing left.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Obviously, I've got some real-world experience, and so brings me back to some of my fun days, and really excited to call this race for these guys to do a great job on track.
Richie, when you were here for the first time, did you say, you know, I know you've done a lot of tracks for the first time. Did you say, boy, I'm at Indy for the very first time?
Yeah, it never really sinks in until you're on the grid there with all the people in the crowd. When they start singing Back Home in Indiana, it's like, damn, this is really happening. And then when you get out there like they're doing right now and pacing the race, the place looks a lot smaller when it's full. So it kind of freaks you out a little bit, but it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and you had to suffer through Jim Neighbors. You didn't have Hans Milwa doing it, so think how it would have been.
Right? And then they got the balloons and the flyover. It's quite a spectacle. But you're sitting in the car kind of getting ready. It's tough to absorb it all. You really don't think about it much till after the fact.
Well,
Richie, hang on, just real quick. Richie, down the backstretch, do you think about your short game at all when you look to the right?
No, but you have looked. I have looked at them before.
Okay.
Well, the sum of all of our passes brought us all here together today, and the unswerving punctuality of chance. Ahead, a yard of bricks to be crossed. 10 score. First to do so, afforded the social cachet that affords any Lionheart Indy 500 winner. Gather up the chickens, say cover me on the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And Dandy Dan Guerin leads the stampede down into the first corner. Look at that bright blue machine of Brian Yosek tucking into second. Weaver, Hacker, and Kinsella round out your top five. A good start.
Yeah, very good start. Everybody kind of got single file. They realize it's a 200-lap race, so got to get there to the end in order to win. So everybody's doing a good job. Looks like we're going side by side already into turns 3 and 4. But, we're going to have a pass for the lead here, it looks like.
And Yazek wastes no time making a move out of 4. Let's give Brian Yazek credit. Boy, they're very close to touching. That was Guerin, and the red car, that was Ken Hacker.
Dan Guerin hanging on the outside of Brian Yazek. At the beginning, when these tires are warm or tires are new, you can run around that outside lane. When I did my Indy 500 a little while ago, that outside lane was the way to do it.
Oh, with all the speed, he gets a tow from 2 cars, almost doing a little rhinoplasty, almost chops off the nose of Brian Yazek, but the pass is successful. Ken Hacker out in front.
Getting back to single file racing here into coming down the front stretch. And nope, here we go. We're going to get another pass to lead with Brian Yosek standing right behind Dan Guerin, trying to get into that second position. Right behind them, we got Justin Weaver and Stephen Larkamp searching for space to get around these guys as well.
There's a lot of... Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, just a little bit further back in the field, there's a battle for 26th. That's really where the end of the field is right now. It's from 26 back. Matthew Mercer leading the way. Joe Branch just getting by Bart Workman back there.
I think we're going to see this type of back and forth passing for a while, until you get to about lap 20, the tires start getting a little bit greasy. Right now, everything feels good, and you can ride on the tail as Brian Yosek is doing to Dan Guerin up front. They're just really packed in here for these first couple of laps.
As they were coming right at you. Our leader right now, Ken Hacker, his best result so far this season was an 8th place in the season opener. After that, it has not been good. 40th, 34th, 19th, 38th, 36th, 32nd, 23rd. We have not seen Ken Hacker racing up here like this all season long, and it's got to make some of these veterans a little bit nervous.
Yeah, he hasn't had quite the luck that he's wanted this season, and this is a good track for him. So we'll see if he can put it together for the full 200 laps.
Richie, you don't need to name any names. When you were real world driving, were there drivers you were nervous to be around?
Oh, of course. I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, there was guys you can run with, and guys and girls you can race with, and guys and girls you couldn't race with. So some of those people you just stuck with, and the ones you didn't like, you try to either get around them as fast as possible or just let them go.
Look at them come down the back straight right at you. One of the cars making a move, Big Joe Hazard. He gets up into 10th, gets around Brian Beard.
Everybody's kind of holding steady. It looks like the top 8 guys are all running right where they started. So even though we've seen some passing, it's kind of filtered back to where they were. We got 3 wide coming down the back stretch.
The car on the low side that picks up 2 spots. Again, Big Joe Hazard. Oh, he almost drifts up into the car that was up on top. That was Brian, not easy being Greenlee. They avoid contact. Also losing a spot, Michael Goodman. Hazard on the move. Started in 15th. He's up to, well, I say 8th, but he's looking to go underneath Stefan Larkamp. He's going to get that as well. He puts the left sides down underneath the white line, making hay while the sun shines, Richie.
Oh, yeah, I love to run right on that white line, if not below it. But you got to be careful. If you hit those curbs, the car will get a little squirrely on you. So he's got to start being a little bit more careful with that.
Sean, you and I have done a lot of these races. I'm surprised to see this as aggressive so early on. These guys know what's going on.
It's been aggressive, and I'll tell you what, one driver is being aggressive at the back of the field is Tyler Graff right now in 22nd. He is picking him up and knocking him down, about to take his 5th spot here, get up to 21st. Got to watch out behind him. Pete Edwins has got the bumper or the wing, but boy, that's really, really close there. They're going to drop Mercer. Edwins is going to make it 2 for 1 there by getting by, but again, Tyler Graff showing some really good speed here early.
Yeah, another big mover is Ian Adams. He's gone from 18th up to oh, big wreck on the front stretch.
I think it was Dustin Wardlow. It was the Candyman. Oh, he gets into the wall and then makes contact with another car. I haven't picked that up yet.
Vincent Bluthenthal is that fluorescent yellow machine that runs into him. Oh, my. Watch this, guys. The Candyman. Go ahead, Sean. You saw it.
There they go. It looks like they just kind of wiped into the side of each other, and poor old Vincent had nowhere to go. It's just a tunnel. The track's not very wide, so there's no room, and you're going fast. You can't slow down either. Here we go. Here's James Krahula.
Krahula's going to get a good look at it. I almost think there might have been a little net code at play there too, boys. We don't need to go into the whole net code description, but I just didn't really see any contact.
He swerved into him.
That's a tough one. Bluthenthal not going to be able to be buried in a Jewish cemetery because he got tattooed on that. He's racing out there without a front wing.
Where does he come up with these, Richie?
I don't know. I must dream about him. Obviously, Dustin Wardlow is very disappointed with that. A little early to have that type of contact.
In fact, someone early in the chat says, please do not hit Dustin Wardlow. I saw that much, one of the first people to come on the YouTube chat, and I'm just feeling really crushed for him right now.
Yeah, key is, all right, we're lap 9, coming up on lap 10. We'll see if anybody in the back will take a run into the pits, try to get off sequence. Sometimes that's the best way to do it instead of trying to fight your way all the way to the front.
Well, one driver's name comes to mind that's notorious for doing it, James Krahula. But wait, maybe the contrary move will be to stay out.
Yeah, right? The whole field's coming in. I think if I was running 25th on back, I'd probably stay out because caution's pretty yellows. And so that would be your chance to get off sequence. But looks like it's follow the leader right now.
Joe Branch listening to the broadcast. He's going to stay out. My guess is, Sean, from seeing this, that Richie talked about it, tires must be king right now to come in so early.
Yeah,
They had a little bit of time to get him angry, didn't they, Richie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of you're just working the fuel mileage. You got to make about 6 or 7 pit stops. So it really, the winner comes down to whoever spends less time on the pit. So just kind of working it out. But unfortunately, I guess maybe with the setup that they're running, it isn't just and fixed. They might be using the tires up a little more than they like.
You know, you guys were talking about Krahula. You know, he is leading the Ironman standings right now with 945 laps complete on the season for a total of 1,675.32 miles going into Indy today. He has ridden that Ironman streak to 3rd in the championship standings. So Krahula may be a favorite today. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick a favorite. There's so many good drivers in this series that it's really going to come down to just pit strategy and just eliminating really dumb mistakes like speeding in the pits and things like that to see who's there for the end.
Well, it's a little too early for us to take a break yet, but it does give us an opportunity maybe to talk about one of our fine sponsors that make that possible, this race possible. And of course, I'm going to talk about Butt Kicker. If you're a sim racer looking to add that missing driver-to-car connection, bring more realism and immersion to your sessions, Butt Kicker products are the way to go. Unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker products move actual mass, say it with me now, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. See all the families of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use the promo code LION20 to get 20% off your order. Find out more by visiting them on Facebook at facebook.com/MidwestSim.
We do have 3 cars that didn't pit. Joe Branch, Jack Boggin, and Adam Blocker are running in the front. So, you know, what they're hoping for is maybe they can run another 10, 15 laps and then another yellow. Now everybody will probably come in and that'll just cycle them right to the front. What they don't want is a 30-lap green flag run or 20 laps, and then they'll be screwed because they'll have to pit under green and they'll definitely lose a lap.
Jack Bogan, an important part of the iRace for Gage sponsorship. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in the race. Good to see Grandpa out there sitting in second with some old tires.
Yeah, they're only
Adam
on lap
Blocker.
9. Only on 9 laps under green, so it's not that old. It's just a matter of positioning. Sometimes when you run in the back and kind of happen to dust in there, you just get caught up in somebody else's mistake. So sometimes just getting up front and running that clean air for a little bit gives you a little bit of rhythm.
These guys started in 32nd, 31st, and 33rd. Richie, and all the races that you drive, were there the traditional 33 drivers, or did you race in one of those where they kind of brought in a few extra ones?
No, there was always bumping when I raced. There was never a guarantee. You always had to like stick your neck out to get in, which is the way it should be.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah, they should have never changed that. I'm totally with Richie on that.
Hinchcliffe might have a different opinion about that one, but pace car is in. Time to go green one more time. We're going to be working lap 12. It's Big Joe Hassard. Let's give a shout out to Grandpa Jack Bogan racing in second. He's going to lose that spot to Adam Blocker. Well, don't speak too soon. No, Blocker on the preferred position. Bogan drops back a little bit in his Indy 500. What color is that car? It looks lavender to me back there. The driver in third. Well, right now, here comes the green car of Dan Guerin. Light blue, I'm getting.
Yeah, it's blue. It's kind of a pastel blue.
And we got Adam Blocker.
Oh, he was touched. Oh, he got it.
Several cars hit him.
Had to check up on Blocker, and then the luck of Dan Guerin continues as he touched him. And it gets worse.
Oh, that was Woody Mahan that hit him.
He was bouncing for a long time.
Yeah.
It just looks like Jack. He just lifts and he gets run over by Dan Guerin. He probably wasn't expecting. See, he got right behind Adam. He lifts, and it's just a serpentine effect right there. And then there's nowhere to miss these guys. I saw Andrew Kinsella. He went right through him, so he got lucky. You get one of those freebies sometimes where nothing happens. You just drive right through the guy.
maybe lifted just a little bit too much, and that's probably what caught Garen off guard. On board with Kinsella, he'll get a good view at it. I think just what Richie was talking about, I think he's going to be very fortunate here.
Yeah, he drives right through him. Unfortunately, Jack lifts a little too much. Boom, right through him. Lucky day right there. That's your lucky day.
And then the car just rolled up, and Woody Mahan had no way to avoid it. Well, with that, and after just the recent yellow flag, we'll take a break right now, but don't go far. We'll be back before we go green.
The SimPit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The SimPit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for the SimPit.
Sponsored by First Medical Equipment. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, the second jewel of the Triple Crown. It is the iRace for Gage 500. We go back to racing for the third time with Joe Branch out in front Dan Blocker in second. Looking at the pit stops, everybody came in that time. Everybody on the same pit strategy. Now,
I think Joe and Adam are still out there on that. They haven't stopped yet, so they're the only two that have old tires. And here goes Adam. He's going for the lead, but Dan Guerin's trying to go with him. He's the first car who has stopped.
That is correct. Lead commentator needs to remember to scroll up to the top of the timing and scoring. There were 3 of them that did this strategy, one of them being Jack Bogan. Didn't quite work out for him.
Now here we are, side by side by side, 3 rows of 2 going into turn 1. Everybody's got fresh tires except for the 2 of the cars up there. But looks like the car's got a lot of grip on the outside line. That's where you keep that momentum. That's where I prefer to make my passes if I can make the car work that way.
Well, that green-colored car of Guerin had the lead for a little while, but Ken Hacker now gets underneath.
We got a gaggle back here for 12, man. Beard leading them all, but Galvin, Slicin, and Dyson, George, and Zalo caught right behind this. They are scrambling here. Galvin to the inside.
Yeah, we got like 2 distinct groups going up front there. We got all the way back to basically 11th spot, and then there's a basically 2.5 second gap to that other group you were talking about.
Yeah, Richie said at 11th spot. Brian, it's not easy being Greenlee. It's about 2.3 seconds then back to Jason Galvin in 12th.
Here's another thing to keep in mind, too, since we make so many pit stops in this race. You know, if you look at somebody like Brian Greenlee, he's just kind of cruising along back there. He's got nobody behind him. You know, if you lift in the corners, you can gain a lot of fuel mileage out of these cars, which makes your next pit stop even shorter. So, you know, running up front is not always the best way to go this early in the race. Feels good, but it may not be the best for the end.
Boy, getting real close together. I almost thought Guerin was going to drift up into Ken Hacker. Not the case. They managed to keep it going. How about Ian Adams? There's a driver we don't see up front that often. Racing in third in the white and blue Valvoline machine.
These guys are leapfrogging themselves up front. We got to give a shout out there to, let's see, Ian Adams. He started 18th. He's running third now. He's running that old school Al Unser Jr. paint scheme. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Adams' big finish, he had a 5th again at Homestead. A lot of these drivers, Hacker also did real well at Homestead too with an 8th. Other than that, we have not heard much from Adams. 31st, 41st, 38th, 29th, 30th, 34th, 28th, 16th last time out of Michigan. Good to see some of these guys, Hacker and Adams, up here racing.
And these guys are fighting it out in the front. Probably the best spot to be in is Brian Greenlee, I would say. He's just kind of cruising along in the back. I mean, that other group's going to catch them no matter what. So you might as well just sit back, relax, save some fuel, you know, have a cup of coffee, and just wait for the next pit stop.
Yeah, they are playing this little game of leapfrog back here. Beard and Galvin keep going back and forth, trading that 12th spot off in an attempt to get to Greenlee. Christopher sitting in that popcorn position right behind him, just taking it easy.
And it'll work if you can get somebody to work with you, but you got to do the passing just right so that nobody lifts. And it takes a little bit of choreography to make that work. But it looks like they are starting to catch up to Greenlee. They made up about a half a second on him. And once they get to about under a second, the draft will kick in. They'll suck right up to those guys.
And again, Guerin is fearless here because his dancing partners are Ken Hacker and Ian Adams. Quality racers for sure, but not the guys he's usually used to racing around. But Ken Hacker and Dan Guerin seem to have it worked out pretty good.
There we go. Big Joe's trying to look on the inside of Ian Adams. Ian Adams, both those guys have moved up significantly from their starting spots. One thing you don't want to do is run side by side like they're doing, but like I said, I think it's inevitable that other group's going to catch them. So you just go out there, have some fun for the moment.
You know, a driver who has done really well racing, if we can leave this just for a second, go back to 24th position. Do I have my numbers right on this? Is this we're talking about Dylan McKenna? Man, he's having a good run, huh?
Yeah, man. You know what? McKenna not doing too bad here. He is in 24th and up 18 spots. He's obviously started at the back of the field there, but the funky fit IR18 and doing pretty well.
Funky fresh is what I'm seeing on there.
Is it funky fresh?
Yeah, I'm not sure if those two words actually go together. That's, what do they call that? Oxymoron, right?
Yes.
One thing I'd like to point out, something must have happened to Brian Yazik because he was running third earlier. Now he's all the way back down to 23rd spot. So I don't know if he got messed up in that last wreck.
He took a second pit stop, Richie. That got him at the back of the field on the restart. But I got to be honest with you, he's been blazing a trail ever since we got restarted. He is continuing to pick up positions. He's closing on Dupree. He's going to have him here pretty soon.
Yeah, that was, maybe it's just a little bit of fuel mileage game right there. He's only done 11 laps on that last pit stop. Meanwhile, some of these guys who have not pitted, that's going to start coming to haunt them if we don't get a yellow pretty soon.
Yeah, I would imagine approaching 25 laps on those tires and a fuel load that is starting to lighten up quite a bit, Richie. Car might start feeling a little bit wicked here soon.
Yeah, and you can only do about 30 to 32 laps on a tank of fuel, so they're only about 4 or 5 laps from having to pit under green, and unfortunately that's a killer. You're going to basically go down a lap.
And you know what? I want to thank my brother George Gibbs out there for reminding me that Funky Fresh was a 1980s hip hop team. So look that up, folks.
Course.
Google that.
Oh, that's right in my wheelhouse. Funky Fresh. Well, here's what we can learn from Hacker and Adams, though, is that the tires, while it's nice to have them, I think these guys are doing a pretty darn good job of staying up in front.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running in the draft, you can just hang in there really good. If he was by himself, he'd be struggling a little bit. But like I say, they're running lap 27 since the start of the race. They're going to be looking to pit. I'm going to keep an eye on Adam and Joe Branch here because they're going to need to pit together and come out together in order to kind of get back into the game.
Everything began to settle down a little bit. A little hectic up early on.
Remember earlier we said Brian Greenlee was clear behind. Not for much longer. It looks like mission accomplished for Beard and Galvin as they continue to play their little game of leapfrog, and it seems to be starting to pay off here as they've knocked it down now to just about 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, I think Brian and Jason have done this before, so eventually I knew they were going to catch up, but it was nice while it lasted. But still, Brian's in a good spot, same fuel. I mean, if he can go one lap further than everybody else and you catch that yellow flag just right, you could put some people a lap down.
Let me get on my game here a minute. I misidentified Adams as Hackers as staying out there longer. Actually, the two guys that we're talking about are Blocker and Branch that are on the long stint.
Yeah, they're working lap 29, and we did do some laps in their yellow, so I'm going to say they could probably go to lap 35, maybe 37 before they're absolutely out of gas. So right now they're begging for a yellow flag.
Yes, indeed. Hacker and Adams are on the same strategy as our leader, Garrett.
Yeah, looking through the field, they've only got a couple of people who are on that same strategy as Blocker and Joe Branch. So they're kind of on a little island out there. And then you got Brian Yazik, who came in early second time, and he's only done 11 laps, so he's kind of all by himself as well. And I kind of like the position that Brian's in. It really leaves his options open as long as he can stay out of trouble running in the mid-pack.
A little bit ahead of those guys, 16th position, George Anzaldo and Pierre Nightingale were going at it for a little bit. Anzaldo now out in front. He's our spotlighted driver today. Mitchell Moeller behind them, Tyler Graft, and Isaiah Dupree in that second batch.
You know, guys, last year was the fastest 500 in league history. An average of 197.546 miles an hour.
Wow.
Sergeant Goke was the winner of that race. Anybody remember that guy, Jonathan Goke? And he's the only two-time Indy 500 winner in Lionheart history, guys.
Jonathan, the real thing, Goke.
He just came home, I think about just under a month ago, after another, I think his 586th deployment or something like that.
Well, if he's watching, let's thank him for his service. We sure do appreciate it. Yep, Sean, you are right. As here comes Galvin is now getting up on the back of Greenlee. I'd like to see what happened to Beard. Was it not Beard who was racing, leading that group?
You know what? Just fell off just a bit. I mean, he's still there. He's still there following, but Stouffer got by, and Stouffer's been able to hang with Galvin all of a sudden. Now, Stouffer's got a fast race car. He's up 9 spots after starting just outside the top 20, doing well.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to do anything wrong to lose a spot. It's just the ebb and flow of the way the draft goes. So you just kind of ride along. You're in that spot of the race. We're 32 laps in, and you just got to kind of find out what you got. They do have tools in the cars that they can use. So they got anti-roll bars. They got the weight jacker to compensate for the fuel burn. So that's one thing you got to start practicing with to see how you're going to be at the end of the race.
Richie, you fell into the trap that I've fallen into many times. With fixed setups, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong with this. I don't think any of those work, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, not today.
All righty then.
Taking it out of the hands of the driver. See, Richie wants toys to play with.
Yeah, those are real important toys for this track. So, well, you just go out there and just drive it then. So Adam Blocker and Joe Branch still staying out there. They're working on lap 34. And we'll see how far they can go. Like I say, I think they could probably go to lap 37, maybe 38. I don't know how much they saved under the yellow flag.
Let's go back to 16th again. That breaks up a little bit. And Zaldo and Degla have been going at it. Degla's out in front now.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty good train of cars right behind him. In Moeller and Graff, Isaiah Dupree's back there. It's a bit of a line of cars right there, all trying to find their place.
See, Sean, when I threw it to you early in the race, and I said, my gosh, these guys are racing. This is the kind of racing I thought we'd see early on, not that chaos we saw in those early laps. These guys, this kind of thing, we can go for a while if they're going to race like this.
Yeah, everybody's strung out a little bit, just taking it easy. Got those first yellow flag jitters going all the way back to Brandon Linkerman. He's running 36 spot, last car running, but he's only 15 seconds out of the leader. So that's about he's missing about a third of the track right now.
And this is the kind of racing that Adam Blocker and Joe Branch will want, because they're going to have to come in for that pit stop. The worst case scenario for them is to come in, fall a couple laps down, and then have the yellow come out after that. They need it to stay green so that everybody has to make a stop.
Yeah, they need a yellow flag desperate right now. Adam Blocker and Joe Branch, because like I say, if you pit, by the time you get out and get up to speed, they're going to come out just about a lap down.
Yeah, if the yellow's going to come, they'd like it now, but they don't want it after they come on in.
No, definitely. That would definitely not help them out at all. Sometimes you just got to take a chance. It can still work out. You just got to be able to be in front of the leader when the yellow flag comes out, and you can cycle back around at the end. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with these two. We'll watch them as we go through the race, see how it cycles for them.
Boy, scanning through the field, if you were a fan sitting in the stands right now, you'd see a string of cars just coming by all about 5 to 10 car lengths apart. They are single file around this entire track.
So it looks like we got Tyler Graff is about to pit, and Adam Blocker and Joe Branch. So here they come. So the key is we want to watch basically Dan Guerin, who was about 2 seconds behind, see where he comes out on.
Guerin, our leader now. Hacker, Adams, Big Joe Hassard, Weaver.
Dan Guerin's going into turn 3. Going into turn 4. Yeah, where's Blocker? Has he left his pit box yet?
Blocker's
Yeah,
still there.
he's out now. He's out now. Just hit the cone on the safety lane.
So he's got to get up to speed. So he's going to cycle back to about where he was.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right. Just about.
He's
Well,
going to cut.
maybe he's going to get it going.
He's going to cut. Oh, we'll see. I mean, his job now is to keep Dan behind, but Dan's got a head of steam.
Yeah. Well, let's see what new tires are like. Little dipsy-doo, little hokey-doke, little hucklebuck going under, up and under.
Yeah, he wants to stay in front because if any yellow flag comes out, he'll get to cycle around. And if I'm Dan Guerin, I'm going to fight him just to keep him behind me. And that basically eliminates one other competitor you have to deal with.
Well, yeah, if a yellow flag comes out, it's the difference between Blocker being the leader, because he won't come in, and compared to being stuck way at the back of the line. He's going to fight hard.
So Dan Guerin's working on lap 30 now on his stop, on his fuel. So you got a bunch of guys that in about, and I said earlier, he came in on lap 38, I believe. And so that's about what Dan Guerin's looking for, about lap 37, 38.
Joe Branch gets around Ken Hackard. Branch trying to get his lap back as well. He's the next car behind Blocker. I'm sorry, behind Guerin. Blocker with a good run. The blue car dips underneath. Should be able to close this deal.
Yeah, we got a group of 4 here. We got Blocker, Branch, Stouffer, and Groff, who all pitted. And so they're kind of on a little island on their own. And then you got Brian Yazik, who's on his own island as well. And here comes
Leaders
Guerin.
in.
Here comes the rest of the field.
Now remember, Blocker pitted from farther back in the pack, and he almost pitted from 8th position, and he almost lost a lap. I would think pitting this close, he might be able to come around and get around before Guerin gets out.
Yeah, it all depends on how good their pit stop is. Dan slides. Oh, Dan had to back up into his box. That's going to kill him. So he's going to lose, track position. Just remember, at 200 miles an hour, you're going to football field a second. So just think about that on just a slow pit stop. You lose a lot of position on the track.
Blocker coming across the start-finish line right now.
They must have short pitted because they're going to come out way ahead of Blocker. So they obviously didn't have to take as much fuel. So Dan Guerin's going to, out of everybody who pitted, I think going to remain out front.
Guerin comfortable. Hacker, Adams, but here comes the guys. Joe Branch, who got around Blocker.
And what we got here is we got a group of guys who are working on lap 33. They're going a little farther into their run, hoping for a yellow flag. But, Dan did a smart thing. He pitted early and took less fuel, and that's what got him out on the track early, faster than everybody else.
Here comes Weaver. Weaver's in, guys.
So next guy out there is Andrew Kinsella and Stephen Larkamp and Brian Greenlee and Brian Beard. They're all working lap 34, so they're going to stretch this out to the very maximum, hoping for a yellow flag.
So all the guys pit ahead of the leader. Guerin racing in 20th will be our leader when things all sort out. Joe Branch in 21st, right behind him.
The interesting part is when Andrew comes in, Kinsella, he's going to obviously take about 5 laps more fuel to get filled up, see where that puts him on the track, how much time he lost sitting in the pits that long.
Weaver is out ahead of Guerin, but Weaver's not going to be able to get it up to speed. There goes Guerin by him. Weaver's going to cycle out. Looks like second in line, though, of all the guys who've made that stop. Ahead of Joe Hassard.
And I believe that Andrew Kinsella and Brian Greenlee, looks like they're communicating with each other. They might be pitting this lap here. Yep, here they come. So this will be like a real interesting to see how much time Kinsella lost by staying out there 5 extra laps on that fuel. So we'll have to watch where basically Guerin is, because he's the benchmark.
Right now it's not going to be Guerin, because going around him is Big Joe Hassard. So Hassard moves up into 11th. He's the leader of all the cars who pitted.
Can I say who the leader is now, though?
Go ahead. Who is it?
Put it out! Brian Yazik is in the lead of this race in the HPP Simulations 55 IR18. He's going to need to pit pretty soon. But he's in the lead.
Kinsella is rolling. Unlike the network's broadcast here at GSRC, we don't pay so much attention to guys who inherit the lead after a pit stop. Kinsella gets blown by Guerin, Hassard, Weaver, Packer, Adams, Blocker. Kinsella's going to sort out. Nope, going by him is Branch, Stouffer, Goodman. Kinsella sorts out in 17th.
Yeah, so it kind of worked out about where he was. So no harm, no foul. You know, you got to get off this pit cycle a little bit and hope for the best. I mean, there's going to be a yellow that comes out, and some guys are going to win, some guys are going to lose.
Right now, Guerin gets back in front of Big Joe Hassard.
Yeah, Brian Yazik is in the pits.
Ryman, Krahula, Scott Johnson still need to come in. Johnson going around again. Krahula going around again. Sam coming in. Ryman going to pit from 4th spot.
Yeah, he did about 36 laps on that tires and fuel. The 3 guys in front, they are out there. They've been out there for a while.
Guerin is going to lead Big Joe Hassard across the line. We're looking at Bart Workman, your leader. So we look at Guerin, waiting for Samuel Ryman to finally come out. After that stop, he's going to be well down the order. So how many are left, Sean? I guess just 3, huh?
Yeah, and then there were 3. Yeah, that's it. You're in. I'll tell you what, good battle here. Good battle here as they sit in the pits back here for 9th. Well, they're picking up spots, but Ian Adams, Adam Blocker. Oh, boy, really, really close there. Kinsella at the front of that. And if anybody watched yesterday, Kinsella, the big winner at Pocono in the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League, their season finale.
Okay.
Right now, Justin Weaver's sitting in 3rd, but it's been 39 laps since the last time he pitted, so he did a great job under yellow saving some fuel, but he's got to come in soon. We got some kind of distinct grouping out there. We got 1st and 2nd, and then Justin Weaver, who'll be pitting soon, and then there's a 1.2 gap to Andrew.
Well, since the cycle's all done, let's take this opportunity to run through the field. We'll do them 5 at a time. I'll take the first 5. Richie, you get after that. Then we'll go to Sean. Your leader, Dan Guerin, for now. By the time I finish my top 5, it's probably going to change. And sure enough, there goes Big Joe Hassard up to the lead. But these 3 guys are up here. Also in the mix is Justin Weaver. Then it's about another 2.5 seconds back to this 2-car battle between Ken Hacker and Andrew Kinsella. So, Richie, who do you got in 6th?
Yeah, we got Ian Adams, who started 18th. He's running 6th right now. Right behind him, Adam Blocker, who's be able to cycle himself back to the top 10. Right behind him is his partner in crime, Joe Branch. Then we got Chris Stouffer, who's those 3 guys are on the same cycle. Then we got Michael Goodman running in 10th. Sean?
All right, and down to 11th, it's the Pennsylvanian Stephen Larkamp sitting there in 11th, and here comes Jason Galvin looking to the inside. He wants that 11th spot. He's going to get it for now. So there's Galvin now at 11th. Larkamp back to 12th. Then we go back to 13th. Yes, it's Mr. Von Hansen's meat himself, Bob Mikas, riding along, kind of watching this battle in front of him there at 13. Then you get a little bit further back there to Pierre Degla, currently under his own little battle here with Tyler Graff. 14th and 15th here, riding along, Soup.
Yeah, but I got two guys who want to join your two, and that's Mitchell Moeller in 16th. He's going to be running along Ryan Beard. Oh, Moeller gets really high, almost puts it up in the wall. That's going to give Beard a little run. And let's stay on this one a minute and see if Brian can finish this pass. They go side by side into 3, get us settled out. Beard on the low side, Moeller on the top side, and sure enough, the preferred position out of 4 will give it to Moeller. Beard's going to have to settle down for 17th. He was racing up front with the big boys for a while. Brian Greenlee now in 18th position, still on the lead lap.
That's all right. I think Greenlee's. This is the race he planned on right now. Easy and out of trouble.
And then just ducking underneath Brian Yasek was Scott Bolster as he gets 19th and Yasek in 20th. So there's your top 20.
Yeah, right now when you're running this race, the way I run it is you race the first 150 laps just to stay on the lead lap. No damage, stay on the lead lap, and then you'll see what you got for that sprint run. And basically, we're 54 laps in. So if you're on the lead lap, you're still in this game. You know, you're not out of it at all.
And talk about lead lap. Well, there are 36 cars still on the lead lap. In fact, every car that's out there running is on the lead lap.
Listen,
last one being Bart Workman.
You know, the top 23 right now are all within under 10 seconds from each other. So field still really at an arm's length from each other. And I picked up on Galvin found a new partner to play leapfrog with as he tried to catch Michael Goodman and get into the top 10. He's working with Stephen Larkamp now. Those two back and forth trading positions there. And like I said, the goal right now, get to 10th. I see we had a change for the lead. It's Big Joe Hassert now. The Big Joe Show.
Yeah, not so much a pass as it was a dance step, I believe, as these guys are just Guerin and Hassert swapping positions. Something tells me that Guerin's got to feel, in fact, they're going to do it one more time. They're getting it done twice a lap. Once on the front straight, one on, whoa, look at this. They're going to put up a little fight. That's not in the choreography.
I'd like to point out, unless my data's wrong, I mean, Justin Weaver's running 3rd, and it's telling me he hasn't pitted in 46 laps.
Yeah.
Okay, so my data's wrong. So I was going to say that's he's cheating if he's doing that.
Fuelhack.exe.
Everybody pretty much on the same stint, except remember those guys who ran long. It's Blocker and Branch, Graff and Stouffer who will probably see peel off first. Although they're trying to run a little bit longer every time to see if they can make up that gap.
Yeah, Bart Workman's running in the back right now. He's 39 seconds, or looks like 35 seconds from the leader. Well, it's only a 39-second lap, so those leaders are starting to come around. If I was him, I'd start worrying a little bit about losing that lap. And when you're looking, you can see they're on the same straightaway. So this is where you start kind of sweating it a little bit. You know, I don't know. You start to sweat, put it that way.
Richie, when you went to Indy, were they still doing the month-long there, or the two weekends of qualifying when you were racing?
When I first started, yes. So you were there for a whole month, but at the end it was just down to that basically week and a half.
The week and a half.
It was more fun with 2 months.
I would think, yeah, with the long time there. Did you have an early exit where you saw that work and nothing to show for it, or did you get good runs most of the time?
No, I crashed a lot. I think out of 7 of them, 3 of them I crashed out of, and 1 of them I had an electrical problem, and then 3 of them I finished, something like that. So, you know, it comes and goes. I did finish 3rd in a 6th place, so I was happy with that.
If you were a Major League Baseball player, though, and that was your batting average, you'd be making about $40 million a year. So I think that's pretty good, Richie.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the wrecks was my fault, and one of them was not. So just things happen.
Well, that's one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to sim racing. We talked about Dustin Wardlow being disappointed because his day went so early. You don't risk financial damage if you crash. You don't risk physical injury, but you do invest a lot of practice time, and that's the painful one, isn't it, Sean? Where you put in all that time, and Wardlow's race goes for
Hey, the emotional connection's the same.
laps.
I mean, I tell people, okay, yeah, I'm not physically hurt or costing me money, but I mean, you put in 40 hours of your life practicing for this race to get taken out right away, you're going to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
And when you do well, you're pretty satisfied too. So that's the beauty of it. And that's what I get. I still get that emotional part out of it, just like I would in real life.
Nice battle. Adam Blocker, Ian Adams, it was really heating up with Joe Branch getting in the mix. What do you got, Sean?
Stouffer just had a really scary moment off the turn. Off of turn 2, man. That car was almost just in the wall and all the way around. And we've got it on the replay. I don't think he makes actual contact here, but Richie, watch the hands.
Turn. You're just like, whoa. That's about all you could do. I've had plenty of those moments.
The Code Brown, right?
Yeah, you just white wall those tires. If you do that, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a pretty good battle back here. 8th is Branch. Stouffer in the white car sandwiched between Branch and Goodman. Goodman back there in the number 99. Michael just coming off his first Lionheart win. Not in the IndyCar, though, right, Sean? He did it in the Retro Series.
In the Retro Series, just this past Thursday night, he absolutely did, man. Mike was flying on cloud 9. It was a great race. The high banks in Michigan Speedway, and yeah, man, he threw it down and finally had a statement race. And who knows, man? Maybe a little luck for Goodman today.
Honestly, that took a lot longer than you and I would have ever expected. We were calling for him to win.
Yeah, he's bad fast. He really is.
I think those tires are starting to wear out on these guys. The track's changing as we rubber in, because I'm watching in-car footage of just a bunch of people, and they're all lifting a lot in the corners, sliding way up high. You can see they're all spread out now, so without that grip, they can't run right behind people. So just kind of run to that part of the race where you just kind of sit back and just do the miles.
Well, Sean, that fastest race record, I didn't think was in jeopardy after all the yellow flags earlier, but now the boys are starting to put these laps together.
We only had 2 flags.
Yeah.
Only 2 cautions. And I honestly thought we were going to get another one really quick, but these guys got spread out and got to racing, and boy, short of a really bad mistake, I think we're going to be moving along here. Tony Showen's in the pits. I see him. He just peeled off. I don't bet. Yeah, he was only 16 laps on that stint.
He might have brushed the wall or something. But basically, Adam Blocker, he's the first of our guys who will be pitting first. Him and Joe Branch and Chris Stouffer, and they're pretty much going to run almost a full tank without a yellow flag. So I think it's starting to affect these cars a little bit without having a chance to cool those tires down.
Blocker in 6th, Branch in 8th, Stouffer in 9th. You heard Richie talking about it. We expect them to come in, but it won't be they just have to roll the dice there for about 5 or 6 laps that there's no caution flag while the pit cycle is underway. Guerin, for example, is on a 23-lap stint, while Blocker is out there for 27. So it's only 4-lap difference.
Yeah, those guys are all really close. They all kind of pitted different lap cycles, just try to catch a yellow flag, but they're all really close here. You see Andrew Casella's just a couple laps behind them as well.
4 laps doesn't seem like much, but if I say it in the form of 10 miles, well, that seems a little more daunting.
There's also a lot more that can go wrong if you pit under green, as far as really comes down to who can slow down and speed up the best. The pit stop is the pit stop, but you have control over the in and out laps.
Boys, this is the 4th full 500-mile race at Indianapolis that we've done with the Lionheart Series. Their 4th full 500. The first 2 seasons, they just did 250 miles. What were they thinking?
I know.
It's Indy, you run 500, right, Richie?
That's the only way to do it. It's called the Indy 500. That's why there's no green-white checkered either. It's 500 miles, not 503.
Oh, shots fired.
Hey, you know what? The last Indy race on the oval at Iowa, you know, people were saying, "Oh, we should have a green-white." No green-white checkered. That's just the way it is. You plan for 500 miles or whatever many laps, and if it's yellow, it's yellow. If it's not, that's the race.
Hey, some of the great engine builders of all time built them for just about 500.5 miles, Richie?
Yeah, basically. I mean, now they're built for, they make them last for over 1,000 miles.
Right.
But when I was running, yeah, you had a motor that they gave you a maximum 550 miles for that motor. So that's carb day and the race. You know, it'd be like having the Le Mans 24 hours and it's under yellow and they go, well, we're going to go another 5 minutes just so we finish under green. No, it doesn't work that way.
And I understand the theory behind it, the economics of making the engines last longer, but I'm telling you, the attrition is part of the Indy 500, and I miss it being a factor.
Well, it's a part of any racing, and that's what made, you know, that's what sometimes people go, the racing's not as good as it used to be. Well, you know, the equipment's better, and
Yep.
you know, and it also goes down to the tires are just better. I mean, they just last longer. They don't wear out. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Stop technology?
I like them when the cars break on lap 199. That's what I like.
Yeah, or you know, Michael Andretti. You know.
Yep. Well, it should be just about time. Blocker working lap 31 of his stint.
Tyler Graff peeling off, guys. Graff coming in now. That's 30 complete laps, rolling down pit lane.
That's just about what they thought they could do.
Boy,
Blocker coming around. Going to stay out. Nope, he's coming in. Boy,
he's coming in. He's coming in hot. He is coming in very hot. So I was just going to say, he did what? He comes in on lap 33 roughly, so that's about what you can do. Yeah, I'm kind of lifting in the corners. He's got his partner in crime, Joe Branch, coming with him.
So things are going to heat up here. Branch goes up on the jacks, as does Blocker. Now, last time they did this, Blocker was able to get out without going a lap down. We'll see if that happens again. Guerin coming out of 4 now. I got a hunch Blocker's not going to be able to do it this time.
No, he was only 2 seconds back the first time, and he lost some more time. So he's going to go down a lap. That's just the way it goes. Oh, Guerin's coming in. So Guerin's been short pitting. He's been short pitting these last 2 runs. Save time on fuelage. So we'll see how that works out in the end.
So Blocker does stay on the lead lap. Joe Branch is your new leader. Yep. Oh, Big Joe, sorry, wrong. Big Joe, I put on the wrong last name on there. Well, that's what you get if you're racing out there without a last name on your logo. Sometimes you're going to get the mistake. Guerin is rolling.
Big Joe's in. The Big Joe Show rolling down pit lane.
Yeah, I'm interested in Guerin's strategy because he's not going the full distance every time. I'm interested to see how that plays out in the end here.
Well, Guerin comes out 3.5 seconds ahead of Blocker.
It really comes down to that last pit stop. You know, can you make it one less run than everybody else? That's how you're working this out. As this race counts down, we're already at lap 72.
Well, as we do that,
Justin Weaver's in. Yeah, we got, listen, it's a busy place. Weaver's in, Adams is in, now there's Galvin getting in there.
Kinsella inherits the lead. Dan Guerin coming out of 4. Leader of all the cars who've pitted to that proper amount of time.
Yeah, he's coming down the front stretch there, Dan Guerin. He's all the way back up to 19th spot.
Weaver is rolling. Weaver's got a chance. He's going to see the leaders go by. Weaver just getting off of the apron. There goes Garrett. Hassard is going to get in front of Workman.
Talk about oxymorons. Weaver is rolling. Weaver should be weaving, right?
No, he was doing a good job. Kept it nice and straight. Hey, look at this. Garrett is going to be passed by Big Joe Hassard. Again, yes, this is a battle for 15th. That might be confusing people. These are your leaders once everybody pits. Andrew, have a catch Kinsella out there in front. Boy, and he's got a pretty good lead back to Stefan Larkamp.
I know you guys have got a good race up there. I'm watching one back here for 20th place right now. It's intense. You got Goodman stuck in the middle right now and flanked by Stouffer and Ken Hacker, and then hanging on right behind him. Here comes Ian Adams, kind of blast his way through, right up on the wing.
That was close.
Jeez.
These guys are racing hard, and you know they don't need to be racing this hard this early in the race, but apparently they're having fun.
And there's Galvin there now getting up into this mix also. So you got 5 fighting here. They're just fresh out of their stops too. Fresh tires, full fuel. Here we go. Oh, look at this. Down into turn 3. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they were going side by side by side. Here they come onto the front stretch.
Leader is in now while we're looking at this battle. You can stay on that battle, no problem. I'll just tell you that Kinsella has come in.
Brian Yazik has cycled his way all. Oh, he's coming in right now. I was just going to say he cycled up to second. He's coming in. He's the one mystery pit stop strategy that I'm going to keep watching because he's quite a bit off of everybody else. If he catches a yellow at the right time, he could be looking almost on his own in the lead lap.
Garen just went around. This is for 7th position. Just ran around Big Joe Hassard. They're fighting back. Let's see if Kinsella can get off. Kinsella's starting to roll. They're going to get crushed. You see Kinsella leaving pit lane right now. There goes the leaders. Well, the leaders of the cars who have pitted.
Yeah, that's basically the difference with Dan Guerin fueling less than a full stop. Is you can see how much space he gains on the actual track. So, 2 seconds is 600 feet. That's a big deal. And this pack with Michael Goodman that you pointed out, Sean, earlier, man, they're not stopping it.
No. I haven't gotten off of it, guys. I'm letting you talk about the rest of the field. I'm watching this one because my Spidey senses are tingling here.
Yeah, this might be the yellow flag that we're looking for.
I hope not.
Well, guys, you were talking, Richie, about James Krahula. I think lap 80 is the lap you want to get to. If you're thinking 30 laps per stint, if you can get to lap 80, which is coming up in just one more lap, that gets you, if you go 30 from there, 110, 140, 170, 200.
Don't you boys know by now that Krahula has a plan?
I think he's looking to do this on one stop less than everybody else if the thing goes green all the way.
Well, like I said, the winner is the guy who spends the less amount of time on the pits. So, because every pit stop's about 40 seconds of track time. So if you can start working it out backwards, that's how you play the race out. You work from 200 and count back. And you try to shorten that time of you spend in the pit lane stopped.
Krahula, in his former life, a cyclist, a very smart fella. He's used to crunching numbers, looking that extra time.
Scott Johnson pits from second. So this is one of those cases where Krahula's not going to... Oh, no! A car is upside down. It is Peter Edwards in pit lane. This will not bring out the yellow. Oh, we have technical problems.
Yep, just a few here, but that's okay. We got it. And Soup will just keep calling up, but yeah, there was an incident on track finally. It does not bring out a yellow as we keep rolling here.
Peter Edwins was following David Cordy coming off of turn 4. Now, I don't know if he meant to pit, but once he banged it off the turn 4 wall, the car shot right into pit lane. If there were real pit stop personnel down there, they would be scrambling as the car pirouetted, barrel rolled all the way down pit lane.
It's coming in hot. Well, it looks like we cycled up back through to where we were. I noticed Adam Blocker has moved up a couple of spots on that last pit stop, so good for him. So we got Big Joe in lead, Dan Guerin in second, Justin Weaver's back to third. Basically, we got a pack of 4 back to Adam Blocker, and then from then it's about a 2.5 second gap back to Ian Adams. So these guys are just kind of rolling along, doing their own thing, which is a smart move.
All you little soldiers in Soup's clipboard army, mark down James Krahula. He's going to be able to do this on one less stop than everybody else. We won't really see much from him, except those little brief times where he leads. What we'll do is take a short break. We'll get all of our little gremlins spanked and put it to bed without supper. We'll be back to bring you this. Sanctioned by First Medical Equipment, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500, round 10 on the season, the 2018 season. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity, as I believe the pit cycle is done. Let's go ahead and do what we did before. We'll run down the top 20. And right now, doing a little bit of a waltz up front, it is Big Joe Hassard and Dandy Dan Guerin. Those two guys are about 0.3 of a second ahead of Justin Weaver. Now getting into the mix is Bart Workman. Nope, I'm sorry, he's racing in 35th. Got to go back to Adam Blocker, who just got overtaken by Andrew Havakech Kinsella. So there's your top 5. Richie, what do you got back in 6th position?
Yeah, in 6th position, we got Chris Stouffer and Ian Adams running in 7th. Jason Galvin's coming up in 8th. Michael Goodman in 9th. And Bob Mikas is in 10th, who started 17th, so good run from him. I love his helmet paint job, Bob Mikas. He's got the best helmet paint job out there. These guys are all kind of strung out, so they're not doing much, but just burning fuel right now. Sean?
All right, and then we go down to 11th. It's Ken Hacker currently. Ken up and down this field a little bit tonight, but you know what? Hanging in there in 11th. Joe Branch up 20 spots right now. Joe using some of that early strategy. The Indiana driver hanging in 12th. Stephen Larkamp. We've seen him battle with several today and work together with the likes of Jason Galvin and others. He's in 13th. Pierre Degla, I was going to bring him up a little while ago. Pierre is having, I hope he's not listening to this, he's having a very solid run here. Kind of scary. Pierre is a former official iRacing Indianapolis 500 winner. So he knows what it's like to drink the milk. I like his chances. Tyler Graff Another one who's having a good solid run. He's in 15th. There's your top 15.
Right behind Graff, though, he's a-coming, is Brian Beard in 16th. It's a ways back to get to Scott Bolster, who's trying to hold up Mitchell Moeller as they go in that corner together. Moeller's going to have to back out. They race for 18th or 17th. Brian is not easy being Greenlee back in 19th spot, about 20 seconds behind the leader. He's ahead of Tony Schowen, who is in 20th. Now, before we leave this rundown, there's one driver that I've told everybody to pay attention to, and that would be James Krahula. He is 30 seconds behind the leader, sitting in 29th spot. But I think he's the leader of all the guys who can do this with one less stop. The problem for him, Richie, is Krahula has to be fast enough that even though he does it on one less stop, he's still got to be fast enough to get to the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to be that far. I was just looking at that, and he's 30 seconds. He's got about about a 9-second buffer back to the leaders. That's a healthy amount. So, he's kind of running by himself, but he's got somebody in front of him to kind of pull him along. Well, not really. He's a couple seconds back of Matthew Mercer, so he's going to have to start going at this point so he doesn't lose that lap. But like you said, he's looking good for that one extra pit stop. I think Brian Yazik, too, is in the same position. He's only a couple laps longer than James on the pit stop cycle.
Now, we are this is the iRace for Gage 500.
Okay.
I want to talk about that real quick.
Hey, so before you do, Ian Adams, for some reason, pulled it off the track. I'm trying to see what might have happened, but he pulled it off, and he's disconnected. He's left the race. Ian was having such a good run. I don't know what happened. All right, I'm sorry. Maybe real life got in the way. Soup, go ahead.
Yeah, it is sim racing, and 500 miles is a long time to be there. Talk about real life. Let's talk about Gage here. Little Gage is the grandson of veteran driver here, Jack Bogan, who we saw racing up front for a little while. You see that logo up there. We'll take it down so we don't block the racing there. Jack sponsors the Lionheart IndyCar, this Indy 500 each year to bring awareness to the congenital heart defect in children. Born in 2007, little Gage, well, he's now 11 years old. He loves animals, insects, dinosaurs, fishing, plays online games, and watches, well, today he watches Daddy or Grandpa crash out of the race. For most part of he's the normal 11-year kid doing what normal 11-year kids do, except that he's had to endure 4 open heart surgeries to replace 2 valves that don't grow with him. Now, congenital heart defects, CHD, are most common type of birth defect, affecting nearly, get this is frightening, 40,000 births. That's 1 in every 100 in the United States each year. Gage has something called truncus arteriosus. During his 8 years prior Gage's birth, there were over 41,000 deaths related to CHD in the United States. For more information about CHD and to find support groups, go to twibbon.com/support/CHD-warriors. There's a little link in the bottom of the YouTube page. A little easier than reading what I just did.
Yeah, catch that in the description there. No reason to follow Soup on that one. We did put it in there for you.
And Gage, if you're watching, hang in there, buddy. Not a good day for Grandpa, though, as he was racing up front. Jack Bogan checked up, got Dan Guerin, gave him a little tap, turned him around. Bogan got the worst for wear there as Dan Guerin is out there leading the race right now.
Competing to win the Indy 500 right now, and Dan very, very fortunate on that very early incident to still be alive and fighting in this race.
Yeah, I'm surprised how he's dumped those 2 behind him. I mean, he's pulled out a 1.8-second gap, so I don't know if lap traffic got in the way, but he's out there running by himself with Big Joe and Justin Weaver trying to make chase. Those guys are going to need to start leapfrogging themselves if they want to catch up to him.
and they pay us to commentate, so I can't avoid saying it, but the luck that Garen has had this season has just been horrendous. I'm going to read you something here. These are going to be his starting positions all season long. First, third, third, sixth. I'm going to read you his results. 34th, 13th, 23rd, 11th, 23rd, 28th. A second at Twin Ring Motegi, 11th and 8th. You get a little pattern there? He has been fast, but not able to bring it home.
Yeah, Blocker's lost it out of 4. No yellow flag if you want to go back a little bit. I just happened to catch that. You see right here, he loses it up coming off of 4.
A little push maybe?
A little understeer, and then just into the side of, looks like, was that? Who was that he hit the yellow car?
Not sure who he got there.
Was able to keep it going.
Workman? No, it wasn't Workman. I'm sorry.
He keeps it out there on the track. Boy, he took a...
Yeah.
The car in front of him
hit.
was David Courtney who he got into. Courtney does a good job of keeping the car going straight.
Just lap traffic, but no harm, no foul. He did lose a lot of track position, but everybody's still going. We should be coming up on full stops again here soon. These 3 guys up front all are looking for stops in the next 4 laps or so.
Boy, when they got together, Cordy had that car pointed directly at that the pit wall there. That they pad that as much as they can, don't they, Richie? That little dividing wall there that separates pit lane from the racing course. But man, that is still scary on the track.
That's a relative term, padded.
Yeah, those barrels might as well have concrete in them because, honestly, when you're at speed coming in there, it's not going to make much of a difference.
And I just don't know any way around how they can get to pit lane without having something there. I mean, you got to protect pit lane.
Yeah, it's just to round it off so you don't cut the car in half, but we've seen some pretty nasty accidents in real life that, you hit that and then go right down pit lane where people are working on their cars. They have extended the pits though in the recent past, where we used to pit all the way down at the end, and when the stock cars came, they extended that pit lane, so now they move all 33 cars as far forward as possible.
Yeah, a lot more momentum of those 3,600-pound stock cars when they come in at speed, and they'll slide a lot farther, won't they, Richie?
Oh, yeah. Slide a lot farther when they're just like a skateboard when there's no wheelers.
Yeah.
Wondering what happened to Ken Hacker. He was running up front. And is he pitting right now?
Our leader is pitting. How about this?
Ken's been in for over a minute now. In fact, Ken is put the car behind the wall.
Yeah, he's disconnected.
I'll back up, see if I can figure out what happened.
Meanwhile, our leaders have pitted along with Adam Blocker, who was on a little different strategy, but now he's on the same strategy as Danny Dam there. So all kind of come around to where we were.
I think I found what happened to Ken a couple laps ago, guys. He had trouble getting out of turn 2, and boy, he really had a bad tank slapper. A couple guys just missed him too, and Lark Kemp and Joe Branch just get by, but Ken parked it, and like I said, he's taking it behind the wall.
Yeah, that's too bad. He was up front, that lead group at the beginning of the race.
So we have
people taking pits. Yeah, go ahead.
Coming in, Dagla, McKeon coming in, Bolster looks like he's coming in as well. Moeller.
Just getting another cycle.
Yep. What's interesting though, Richie, remember it used to be Garen was running longer than some of the guys now because he's doing that short pitting though. He's one of the first to pit, which puts him at risk again to being caught out by a yellow. He's an 18th.
Yeah, he was on a normal strategy, and then he short pitted himself all the way back to what Adam Blocker was doing. So those guys are on the same strategy now. The big guys to watch right now is Brian Yosick and your pick there, James Krahula. See where they cycle around, and if a yellow flag comes out, this is where they're rubbing their hands together, hoping for somebody to make a mistake.
Perhaps. I'm honestly not sure Krahula wants a yellow. I think he's happy right now. He thinks as this thing stays green the whole way, he's going to be able to snake these guys with one less stop.
That is true. That's true. I mean, if you get a yellow flag, it'll give him some track position, or it'll bring everybody back together. So you're absolutely right about that. We are just past halfway at lap 103, so this race is just streaming along here, which is good to watch these strategies play out.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to dwell on it, but we had those 2 caution flags early in this race, and it's been hammered down ever since with some really, really tight, risky racing at times that's had us scratching our heads as to why so hard, why now, but lots of guys still making moves. Limkeman just getting by Justin Weaver. So does Big Joe. Weaver just out of his pit stop.
Galvin and Micah's pit from 3rd and 4th position. Your leader is Kinsella right now.
Ryan Yosick cycling himself all the way up, back up to 3rd. And he's about 7 laps shorter than the guys in front of them. So he's in a good spot. He's actually in a better spot than James. As far as the pit strategy goes, he's 2 laps shorter than James Krahula.
I'm going to give you a number that probably won't make a lot of sense to you guys, but Krahula has a 32-second gap right now over Dan Guerin. Why that matters is Krahula's going to have to pit. If this goes green all the way, Krahula's going to have to pit one more time. Guerin's going to have to pit twice. Krahula's going to come in, lose a lot of time, but then Guerin will have to make that extra spot, and he's going to get it back. This all goes on behind Kinsella, who's still out there leading, going around Christopher right now. 12 cars on the lead lap, the last one being Samuel Ryman.
I'm thinking Brian Yosick's the guy to watch, because you're going off James Krahula, but Brian's 2 laps shorter than him.
Maybe.
So he's got even a couple lap window there over James Krahula. Either way, those guys are kind of on an island doing their thing.
You know, I don't think we talked about it in the pre-race cast, but you know, there's a tremendous prize list for today's race. The biggest purse in Lionheart history. Purse, booty, whatever you want to refer to, but the winner is going to get $100. And a custom winner's plaque, an 18x24 original Patrick Taylor artwork from Clipping at Apex, a Dan Weldon diecast, a 100th running of the Indy 500 T-shirt, an Indy 500 hat. They're going to get some prints, a trading card set, a poster, a hardcover book, a flip book, a 75th anniversary flip book, a set of 5 racetrack decals courtesy of Viva Motorsports, Easy Eye 65 Mini PK64 Rocket. I'm going to assume that's from Lock Precision. Is that says Rocket, and I'm somewhat familiar with those, and that PK64 means that rocket will go pretty high in the sky. 2nd place, 3rd place are all getting stuff. They're getting artwork from Clipping that Apex. They're getting shirts, Indy 500 hats. Just a tremendous prize pack, and even 4th place is going to get a couple of 8.5 by 11 prints, all the way back to 10th place. Those guys will get a couple of prints courtesy of the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
Good stuff there indeed. While that was going on, Dan Guerin now up to 4th. 3 cars still yet to pit. Yosick, Krahula, and Scott Johnson.
Yeah, I'm watching Brian Yosick right now, and he's hanging out there, but he's getting his butt kicked by some of these guys who have pitted, so he's definitely losing some speed just purely on tires alone. And sometimes you got to be careful, even though you stay out there that long. But if you look at his last lap, was a 41.4. That's a good second slower than what the leaders are doing behind him, or at least the Dan Guerins of the world. And like I say, 1 second a lap. That's 300 feet every time.
You want to get to lap 110, or you want to get to, yes, lap 110, and that's coming up here in a minute. That would get Yazik home.
Yeah, I think he's pitting this lap because I see him on the radio. So he's doing him and Scott John. He's listening to you there, Sue. You're telling him what to do.
He probably is.
Here he comes. So he made it to that lap 110. So if the Skeens goes green, you know, these guys are going to be looking good. James Krahula stayed out, though. So your buddy James is sticking it out there. He's running pretty good lap times, though, too.
He's got a little more cushion, but I said lap 110, but I'm looking there at Yazik. He put in a 33-lap stint. Now, if we're able to bring up the race analysis that we haven't really shown you so far, this is the numbers that we get from Lionheart. But what have I always said? They lie to us, right, Sean? They say max 30 laps. Well, we just saw Krahula go 33. That changes where you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You
and
can
who
do
knows?
A 33-lap stint.
Who knows what James was doing in the car there to get, Yazik was doing in the car there to save that much fuel. But like Richie said, there are definitely ways you can save fuel around this track, especially if you're working out there by yourself.
Yeah, it's just about lifting and coasting the corners and just, I mean, basically the way iRacing works their fuel is how much throttle you put on, not by the RPM. So it's all about the throttle pedal. But if James can go to lap 33, 2 or 3 more times, his last pit stop, he's going to have to fill less. He's coming in right now.
Comes Krahula. That's true. He'll have to pit lessons.
You locked him up in much there. Yeah.
I thought he missed his spot, but nope. He's in a good spot. Coming in hot. But like if he, it's all about that last pit stop. If you can short pit it, you're going to gain 4 or 5 seconds on the next guy. That's almost the whole straightaway.
So that means that Dan Guerin is going to get the lead back again. But here's the deal. He pitted on lap 100. Now, I'm not good at math, but that means if it's a 200-lap race and you pitted lap 100, you need to go 100 laps. And again, if you want to break that up into even stints, that's 33, 33, and 34. Can you go 34 laps, Dan?
Yeah, well, that's why, like, your buddy James Krahula and Brian Yazik are sitting pretty because they got that 9-lap buffer.
Yep.
So we'll see. If this thing goes green, it's really going to be interesting to see who was smarter at the beginning of the race and saved that fuel.
John, that's assuming we go green the whole way, but my goodness, the way these guys are racing right now, looking pretty good.
I like chances of that happening at this point. I mean, things have really settled down. There's some really great racing going on track.
Look at this battle ahead of our leader right now. We can see it. If we were on board with Guerin, and they're right there. This is a battle for 27th position. Greg West just goes under Scott Johnson. And right behind him is the leader saying, "Excuse me, guys."
Boy, Dan got high on that one.
Scott Johnson was all over the gearbox there of Greg.
Yeah, and if you watch right behind him was Dan in that other green and black car, and he got in the wash and almost hit the wall. Richie. Yeah, I mean he's struggling. You want to get by these guys as soon as you can because you don't want to mess around at this point.
He took it in there really deep through corner 4 to get underneath the lap car. He gets that accomplished. Gets under Greg West.
So, little factoid about Greg West. I don't know if you talked about it on your broadcast. I know he's fairly new to the league, but he's an Olympic athlete, a U.S. Olympian in training in the skeleton Winter Olympics. So he's a winter guy.
Yeah, it's very cool. This probably helps with his reaction times as well.
Well, he uses specifically iRacing as a training tool. And so I got to spend some time with the other guys there in Boston at the office and trade some stories. But yeah, Greg, like I said, one of the fairly new guys here, running in his first iRace for Gage Indy 500. And you know what? I got to admit, he has put on a pretty good showing here. He's kept it out of trouble, Richie, and that's what we keep talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, first you have to finish before you finish first, right? It's an old saying, and
Yeah.
he's done a good job. He's running in 28 spot. He's the first car a lap down. It's not too bad for your first Indy 500. As much as you practice for this race, you really don't understand it till you actually run the full 200 miles and how you actually have to run it.
Sean and Richie, I bet you don't know this. The World Championship for the Skeleton, always held on the same day of the year. Do you know what day it is?
I do not know.
October 31st.
Really? Okay. Well, that is a good factoid. I like that.
Because it's Halloween and it's, the skeleton.
Skeleton.
Kind of. I think that's kind of
insert
cool.
rim shot here. Yeah, but you had me going there, Soup. The hook was in my mouth. I was going.
It could be true. You don't know. Let's look at 21st. Let's look at 21st. Oh, where are we going? 16th position we're taking to.
Yeah, Corolla.
Oh, look at this.
Here comes Yazig.
Yeah, those two guys are the ones I think are the real wild cards in this whole pit stop strategy if we go green the whole way. And I don't know if they know that about each other, but I think they're the ones we're going to have to watch if we don't have another yellow flag.
And they may just take turns leading right now, saving fuel. Although I don't really think they need to save that much fuel. Yazik will be close. We'll need to put in another long run like he is. They race in 16th, 30 seconds, and that's exactly what it was last time I talked to you. You guys out there in Soup's Clipboard Army, I know you wrote it down. That's the interval that it was last time we mentioned it.
Meanwhile, Dan Guerin has still got that 1.3 second lead on this group behind him. These guys are racing hard, though. Big Joe, they're going around, I believe, Greg West. Justin Weaver's coming around him as well.
Yeah, Guerin working up now behind Scott Johnson. If I'm one of these back markers, I got to start to really worry with Guerin's bad luck that he's had all season long. You know that the bad luck's going to hit sometime. You just don't. You don't want to be part of it.
Talking about Dan's bad luck.
They pay me to do the broadcast.
He might be saving up all his luck for this race.
It's not like a no-hitter, Sean. I gotta.
Listen, Dan will certainly forget all that has happened this season if he manages to pull off a win here. But with Big Joe Hassert in his mirror and on a similar strategy, man, nothing guaranteed, obviously.
No, nothing guaranteed, but, he's able to just pull away from those guys. I mean, he's got 1.9 second lead. It's been like that for a while, so he's able to run by himself really efficiently.
Got a fun battle we may want to take a look at. Let's go to 18th position. Oh, there's Joe Hassert. Is this a battle for position? Oh, well, let's stay on this one here. Our director knows.
Yeah, no, Joe's right there with him. It's a difference. It's not an insurmountable amount of distance between the two.
Yeah, Big Joe's good race. He started 15th, but he's got himself up to second place. He's been able to stay there most of the time here.
2 seconds up to Guerin. Weaver's our second fastest qualifier.
Another good run by Chris Stouffer as well. Started 22nd, running 5th. Our big mover, Adam Blocker, it looks like 33rd to 9th so far.
Justin Weaver was one of the Lionheart members that made the trip to Iowa for the Iowa IndyCar race. And you know what I learned about Justin Weaver? Epic beard, Soup. Epic.
Well, that's... Don't know. Condolences or congratulations are in order.
It was full and certainly looked like it might even be living. So, yeah.
Looks like we got 33 cars still running and 26 cars on the lead lap, although George Anzato's, he's got the leaders bearing down on him. He's only about a second and a half ahead of Dan Guerin. So he's hoping for a yellow flag fairly soon.
I think I think every driver in this field just going to have to keep hoping, Richie. I just like the way this has turned out. I really wouldn't mind if it stayed green flag to the end. Would you really? I mean, honestly.
No, I think this is great. I mean, I think the strategy is very interesting. And we'll have some racing. Right now these guys are taking it easy, but you got Big Joe and Justin, kind of messing around. But I think when we get the lap, 10 laps to go, you're going to see a little aggression come out from these guys.
What's happening to some of the cars when they come up on lap traffic? There are some good battles out there, but they're racing a lap down. Sometimes they're coming up on them, and the drivers have to work it out of the way. One of the good battles, 18th position. This is Mitchell Moeller and Isaiah Dupree.
Well, he really cut him off right there, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the yellow flag's going to come, it's from these guys who are racing back here.
Dupree almost paid on the exit there. Right rear stepped out just a touch.
Now, those guys are only about 3 seconds behind the duo that we keep telling you about, Krahula and Yazik, back there racing 16th and 17th. We'll know a little bit more.
I noticed Yazik hasn't made any attempt to pass James, so he's just cruising along back there, lifting. I could hear him on his in-car just lifting through the corners, and that might gain him another lap or two.
We think Krahula is pretty safe. We think Brian's going to have to stretch it to get to that 33-lap mark. We'll know more here soon. We'll see if Dan Guerin will really be the guy that tells us a lot. If he can get to, I guess it would be lap 133.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the pit stops, James Krahula and Brian Yazik are only one lap apart. So Brian was able to make up a lap on that last stint.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We were talking about the battle. We're looking at Big Joe Hassard and Justin Weaver. Again, I'm not so sure that Justin's not back there just happy to ride back in third and just lift. He has a 3-lap advantage on Dan Guerin. He's been out there for 24 laps. Guerin 27. Yeah, a 3-lap advantage. And that mileage from Weaver, when we compare it to Krahula, yeah, he's got a couple laps on him. Oh, quite a bit. Krahula has almost 10-lap advantage on these guys.
Yeah, not much going on with our top 7 guys all the way back to Bob Mikus. But we go back to Michael Goodman and Adam Blocker. Adam had that little bit of a contact with the lap car, trying to make his way back up.
While Goodman comes in behind Big Joe. That's 26 complete laps for Big Joe. 27 complete laps for Goodman. Here comes Tyler Graff. And Big Joe misses his stall there, Sue.
Yeah, I don't know why he pitted so early. He could have gone a couple more laps. Getting to that lap, 130. I don't know. I would have stayed out a little bit longer, I think.
133 is our mark for Guerin. If he can get to 133, he's got a chance to get there. I guess it would be just on one more stop. We are on lap 130 now. Guerin has been out there for 30 laps.
Yeah, I mean, that would be what, 70 laps divided by 2 is 35 laps. I don't think he can make it, so he's got to go. That's why I said I don't know why Big Joe pitted, because he just guaranteed himself to making an extra stop.
And Guerin can't do it. He's got to come in.
And he was out there by himself, burning a lot of fuel. That's the The problem here, the key is, like you said, we can watch Brian Yosick and James Krahula. Where these guys come in is going to be really going to play out on how we end this race if we go green.
So that gets the lead to Weaver. And usually we don't care about this. Usually we would, these guys come in and it wouldn't really matter. But how long can Weaver stay out now? Again, 133 is the mark we're looking at. I think he's got a chance to do it.
I think really 135 is what you're looking for. If 133, that's stretching those last couple runs, and you won't be able to race anybody.
You won't be able to be fast. You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you can get to 135, what's that, 65 laps? So 32 laps per stint. That's very doable.
You're right. But I think 133, I was adding 33 and 33. That only gets you to walk 199. So, yeah.
I think you can make it, but you're going to be just cruising. You're not going to be able to defend or do anything about it. So I think 135 is going to be your minimum. And James and Brian stay out again. So I think they can easily make it another 5 laps, 6 laps. I think they're the ones who are going to win this race if we go green.
I think, actually, Richie, I think James can do more than that. He's working on lap 20 right now in this stint. So James got still quite a load in that machine.
Meanwhile, Justin Weaver stays out. He's working lap 133, so he's looking to get to that 135 mark if he can. Not sure he's going to be able to stay out one more time. This is a 30-lap stint for him.
Yeah, well, this is where he just kind of sat back a little while and just kind of saved fuel. So this is where it starts paying dividend. It's really hard to do.
Here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. It's going to be 134, so he's close. He's very close.
Weaver's in.
Yep. That's what we were talking about. So he comes in. Didn't get to the 135, and he was, even with all the drafting that he did, his stint was only 31 laps. And that was sitting behind Big Joe Hazard for most of the run. Sean, do you like meat?
I love meat soup.
If you wanted meat, where would you go?
Von Hansen's Meats.
They're out in front right now, baby.
Yes, they are. On board with Bob Mikus, the controlled chaos racing driver.
There he comes.
Finds himself in the lead right now, and now he is down the pit lane, and he's got company right behind him.
If you're a vegetarian and you think there's nothing of Von Hansen's meat for you, are you wrong? Get their flavored pretzels. The best pretzels I've ever had.
All right, on that magic 135 lap, I think James is going to try to. He could probably stretch this out to at least lap 140, and that makes a really easy run to the end. Brian Yosick, I think, can do it as well.
Well, what about Stefan Larkamp, the rookie out of Pennsylvania? He's made it to 135. He's our leader, and he's going around one more time. And he's ahead of those guys. He's ahead of Krahula and Yosick.
And then I don't know if we talked about it a little bit at the beginning. I mentioned it when Dan Guerin kept short pitting. I think that's going to come back and haunt him now. I mean, he's not going to be able to make it. And, I don't know why he was doing that, but it's so hard to have the discipline to run your strategy and not just race. And, it's hard to do. It's very difficult to do. I don't know how Kinsella is now ahead of Dan Guerin. And he just had a really good pit stop.
And see what happened here.
Yep, just doing that on pace, I think.
Yeah, you know what? Boy, Kinsella slipped out of the draft on the backstretch and made it a 2-for-1 type of deal and passes Garrett and Justin Weaver both. And then, of course, he got around Brian Greenlee shortly thereafter, heading down into 1.
Might be a case of some people realizing that they can't get there on one more stop, and other people holding on to the false hope that they can. Maybe Dan Guerin realizes the situation he's in, and he's starting to lift a little bit.
Yeah, at this point, if you realize, you know what, I can't do it, now you just go for it.
Yeah.
But you know, we got James Krahula and Brian Yazik sitting first and second. So really the real leader of the race when they cycle around is going to be Andrew Kinsella, along with Dan Guerin and Justin Weaver in third. They got and Big Joe is up there too.
Another driver in the mix, Brian Beard, shouldn't be left out. He's in that same, he should be able to get there as well. So we're looking at Larkamp, Beard, Krahula, and Yazik.
Yeah, these guys are going to stay out another lap here. They're going to make it to lap 140, I believe, before they pit.
Yeah, James Krahula is going to be the only guy, I think, of these guys who's really going to be able to race, because he is so comfortable on a run. Krahula's worry now is he needs to be able to make sure he's fast enough that he doesn't fall too far behind the leaders, where even if they do make that extra stop, they'll still be able to get out in front of him. Remember, you guys in the Soup's Clipboard Army, we said it was 30 seconds. Once Krahula makes a stop, we'll see how he cycles out in relationships to the leader, who will be Andrew Kinsella.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than 30 seconds because you got to count how long it takes to get actually up to speed. So it's closer to like about a 35-second pit stop, really what it is.
Right, but when he was racing out there, that's what he was running, about 30 seconds behind the leaders when it was even. So we'll see how that plays out when he makes his stop. Right now, on Kinsella, he's got 8 seconds. So see, this is where I'm worried that even with the strategy, he may not have the pace.
Yeah, I think if it goes green, I think they're gonna be cycle ahead. Because if those guys come in, even if they have to do a splash go, here comes Brian.
Right.
Yazik's coming in at the moment, so second place is pitting. James is staying out for one more lap.
Yeah, Krahula now needs to start putting in the fuel's not an issue. Speed is the issue now, as he's working to try to get himself around Isaiah Dupree, the last car on the lead lap. Because, Sean, when those leaders do come in, Kinsella and Guerin, it'll be quick. There'll be no tires. There'll just be a splash and go to get there.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be a splash and go. So, you know, let's call it about a 20-second pit stop. Time they stop and then get going again.
Krahula stays out. He has an 8.5-second lead on Kinsella. Krahula will have to make a stop, but it'll be a big stop. Kinsella will have to make a stop, but it'll be a splash and go. I'm kind of liking, I don't know if a splash and go and a full stop is going to be 8 seconds difference. Maybe.
No, I don't think it will be. I think, you know, if it goes this way, I think James is looking real good. Here he comes. Yep.
Now everybody comes by. Kinsella and Guerin, they race 1-2. Justin Weaver in third. Sean, I got a hunch some of these guys are going to try to get there and not make it. It's just too tempting.
I think there's a handful. Yeah, I do. And I was just about to go to something related to that, and the fact that is we have so many different strategies playing out right now. You need that clipboard army keeping track for us there, Sue.
Don't forget about Stefan Larkamp. He races in 11th. I believe he'll be ahead of all those guys, Yazik and Krahula. Am I correct? Yes, he is. I think he could go.
Yeah, I think his track position, though, is a little too far back, whereas, you know, James and Brian, like you said, Brian's at that 30-second barrier. We'll see where James cycles around as he comes around, and they're going to have to make one stop, whereas everybody else is going to have to make 1.5, basically.
right now, since the pit stop cycle is all done, we'll take a short break. We'll come back and take you all the way to the checkered flag. Back in a few.
The SimPit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The SimPit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for the SimPit.
You're looking at Andrew Kinsella, the race leader here in the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500, sanctioned by First Medical Equipment. This is the Lionheart IndyCar Series, round number 10. Kinsella out in front by 0.4 of a second over Dan Guerin, with Justin Weaver right behind. But it all might be pointless, as these guys might have to make 2 stops from here. The guys that we're looking at, if we can go back 10th position, Stefan Larkamp, he might, I got one more might in me, might be able to get here with 1 more stop. A driver we know that can get here with 1 more stop is racing in 15th, James Krahula.
Yep.
You little soldiers in Soup's clipboard army, you've been tracking this number. I told you the gap long ago from Krahula to the leader was 30 seconds. Right now, it's 24.9. Krahula is running the same lap times for most of this race as the leaders. He's in position. The question would be, Sean, and I don't think you can. Can you come in, make a splash? If you have a 30-second lead on somebody, can you come in, make a splash, and go and get out in front of them? I don't think so.
No, I don't think I don't think you can. I mean, it's not about the stop. It's just how long it takes you to slow down, and more importantly, how long it takes you to get back up to 220 miles an hour. So it's more or less about a 20-second stop if you really want to go cone to cone. And I don't think they can, honestly. I think these guys are looking good right now. James and Brian Yazik, they're kind of tagged together here. They're about the same strategy, about 1 or 2 laps apart. And I think that's who we're going to be watching if we go green the whole way.
Right now, some of these drivers, Kinsella, Guerin, Weaver, and here comes Big Joe Hassard in 4th. And how about Adam Blocker in 5th? They're all looking for like a virtual glove to throw out of the cockpit, right? They need a yellow.
I'm going to be honest. I think every driver in this field would probably like to get a yellow just so they could relax for a moment. I mean, this is an endurance race. This is the mother of all open wheel endurance races, and I got to imagine a few of these guys are feeling it right about now, as we have now officially gone past the three-quarter point here in the race. And Soup, this is going to turn into a Friday night special here real quick.
Yeah, I can guarantee you Stefan Larkamp does not want to see a yellow right now. He wants this thing to stay Irish the whole way. Green, baby. He's going to try to nurse that thing to the end on one more stop. We know that Krahula and Yazik can do it. Brian Beard also doesn't get a lot of attention. Brian Beard is kind of in there. He's a little bit, even 1 lap less out there than Larkamp. Beard could sneak this one too. Of course, this all goes out the window if
we get a
the
call.
battle for 39th position ends up in a crash. Sorry.
Tomograph coming in. That means he's going to need his splash and go.
46 to go. Yeah, he'll need a
maybe a little bit
splash. He'll need a shower. Yeah, a full-on bath, I think, is what he's going to need to get there. Boy, it has been clean. Got a little messy early. It was a totally different race, and all 3 of us mentioned it, how aggressive they were early on. Some of those guys participating in those are gone. Jack Bogan, aggressive driver, is gone.
Yeah, it looks like we got, 31 lap drivers running now. I think David Cordy is our last driver running. And we got 22 cars on the lead lap.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say, why don't we go on board real quick with this season's cleanest driver through this.
Who could that be?
Well, that would be Robert Flunen. And we go on.
Should be somebody from Dirty Blinds, but I guess we don't have them anymore. Well, it seems like that company should definitely.
I think Robert might have got a piece of the wall there when we went on board with him. He's in that Patrick Taylor Memorial onboard camera there for Dragonfly Racing. He had a close moment there.
No incidents though, so he's still cleanest driver.
Yep. He's hanging on to it. In fact, boy, he's had that all season. Fewest incidents per race at his average is 1.11. He's only got 10 incidents all season, guys.
Patrick would approve. It's nice that they have that. We get to remember Patrick Taylor here. Of course, if you're new to the series, one of the guys who worked so hard behind the scenes, we tragically lost him, a sudden death last season. Patrick, hope you're enjoying the race.
Guys, Bolster is on the pit lane. He'll be another one of those drivers. Going to need another pit stop to get this done. Moeller just followed him in.
Give a shout out to Adam Blocker after that mistake incident he had with the lap car. He's made his way back up to 4th spot. He's catching up to Justin Weaver. And then right behind them, we got good battle with Christopher and Jason Galvin. Jason's all over the back.
If Blocker manages to finish in the top 5 today, can we all point back to him staying out on that? What was that? That first caution. Well, here he comes in now.
Stayed out on the first caution, but not staying out now.
So we're at what 60 laps to go, or 40 laps to go.
Yep.
So he's going to have to come in for a splash and go. I mean, this next round is going to be key, and he missed his stop, had to back up.
Yeah, that's not good. That doesn't help anything.
No, that's one thing that'll really piss you off. You know you got to do this right, and you come in and you screw it up right there.
All right, so when you're actually in the car, I mean, real life, I mean, how hard is it to fight off the red mist? Yeah, obviously you got to get focused on getting back to racing. Does that last long?
In the real world, no, it doesn't last long because you got stuff going on. But man, when I'm racing on here and that happens, I literally want to punch myself in the face. It's so stupid. You feel like an idiot. But in the real world, you just hope you didn't run anybody over. And usually your crew chief or engineer's on there. Hey man, don't worry about it. You know, you just kind of have to deal with it and fix it the next time.
Richie Hearn with a real you go to the box, you feel shame moment there. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, a lot of shame.
Let me ask one more question, Richie. Does that 3, 2, 1 countdown when you're coming down into the pit lane, does that help?
No, negative.
No.
You know,
like it would.
Yeah, it really comes down to just having something you can see, and just knowing where you're at. You know, things like that. Ooh, I'm watching Blocker.
Oh boy,
he got chopped off by I think that was our cleanest driver out there.
He was almost not our cleanest driver there for a moment. Oh, that was close.
We got a replay of it.
Netcode doesn't come into play here. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, Adam's on a charge to get back up there, and right there, he's not happy with Robert.
On board with Adam Blocker. Take a look at this one.
Yeah, he has to go.
The car wasn't any longer than it was.
And in turn 2, he's got to go way below that white line, and the track is not level right there.
Well, you can see there on the replay what that transition did to the car getting back up.
Kinsella Guerin in the pits with 38 to go. There is no way they can get there from here without another stop. Weaver, the new leader, but he's going to come in soon, and then it's going to turn it over to my guy, Stefan Larkamp.
Yeah, the key is to coming in with about 33 laps to go.
Right.
I believe that's going to be what you want.
Well, Larkamp has gone 20. This will be, as he crosses the line right now, Sean, he'll be working on his 27th lap on this stint. If he can go another 4 laps, that gets him to 33. And he's only had to do it with 31 laps. I think he's in good shape.
Yeah, I think him and Krahula and Brian Yazik are all in good shape here. You got Brian Beard kind of on the same. He can probably make it too. We'll see. This last stop's going to really show who has the cards to play it out.
But the only one who can really race is Krahula, because he's in the best shape of all of them.
I'm trying not to play favorites here, and I'm trying not to seem like the big James Krahula fan and a fanboy in the room, but I honestly think he's in better shape than anybody right now. James is clean and mean, and that car has got the right color to win a race. So I don't know, man. He's sitting on just now working on lap 22. He's got plenty of cushion, and like he said, he could just keep it wide open, just blast this thing around Indy.
Weaver going around one more time, but I don't think he's going to be able to stay the ball much longer. Justin Weaver, our leader, qualified second. He certainly has the pace to win. Just don't know if he has the fuel mileage to win.
Yeah, I'm hearing him lift a lot in the corners as well. So I bet you he's coming in this lap.
Coming around. Cinderella has a curfew. Coming on in. Justin Weaver.
So it's about 33 laps. So he's right on his number. to make it for the rest of the race. Steven Larkamp.
Well, he went 33, and there's 35 to go. I don't think he's going to get there. And we're talking about Justin Weaver. Larkamp's your leader. He's working on a 30-lap stint with 34 to go. If he can go 2 more laps, I think he's safe to get there.
Yeah, we're working lap 167, so we're right at that 33 window right now.
Joe Branch in second, maybe in the mix as well. Larkamp stays out. Branch cannot.
Yeah, he's going to be close. I'm thinking we got Weaver, Larkamp, Branch, Beard, and Krahula, and Yazik.
Yep,
Those are our 6 guys who can make it, I think. Those are the 6 guys who can make it the rest of the way.
What's so funny is I think Krahula set this all the way up from lap, probably all the way back from lap, what it would be 80, probably had this figured out.
Oh, you had to work this way earlier than that. This is one of those things where you got to work this from the very get-go. And you got to hope it plays out. I mean, you obviously don't think, and Larkamp's in. You obviously don't think it's going to, but you got to start really early. You can't make up all that time in just a couple of stops. It starts from basically lap 1.
I'm a little worried here. This is only a 32-lap stint for Larkamp with, well, I guess when he crosses the line here, it'll be 32 to go, so I guess he split it right in half.
Yeah, and that's fine. He can just take a full stop, and, you know, he knows what he's got for tires and everything. And like I say, we got about 6 players in this game, unless we get a yellow.
Yeah. Then all of this, Sean, all of this nonsense, all this math, this whole exposition that we put on is pointless.
Yeah, it is. It can be rather pointless. I don't know. We'll see. There's Krahula still leading this. We're back in the lead and still leading laps here late. One of the drivers with a great chance to get this car in victory lane. In the Lionheart IndyCar Series, drives for No Name Racing, but at heart and always will be a team member of Unacceptable Racing. That's where we found James originally, and like I just told one of his teammates, Ricky Harden, in the YouTube chat, he's certainly running that quote-unquote unacceptable strategy that we used to be familiar with.
Yes, he is a contrarian. If there's anybody who will do things his own way, it is James Krahula.
The other thing to remember is the longer these guys go, the less fuel they're going to need for the end. So it takes longer to fuel than tires. So even 4 or 5 gallons less is a lot of track position, and that's going to come into play as well. And that's going to be beneficial for them.
Interesting, a pass for the other race. Blocker just got around Kinsella. And look at this. Look, and once again, how does this happen to Dan Guerin? All of a sudden, and now here as Kinsella goes back around Blocker now.
I think Krahula's going to pit this lap.
So you have Kinsella in third, Blocker in fourth. Here they come.
Yazik stays out, though. Yazik's been able to stay out one more lap.
Interesting.
So that's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. So we'll see where they come out on track position here as far as Adam Blocker and Andrew.
We've been pumping up Krahula, and I'm starting to feel bad that I've kind of missed out on maybe, you know, giving Brian Yazik a chance of winning this race.
Well, Larkamp coming across the start-finish line right now. He's going to easily go by these guys. There goes Larkamp now. He's past him. Krahula just getting out onto the apron.
Yeah, so, I mean, Joe Branch, too, he's on that same pit strategy, I believe, as well. He's ahead of Larkamp.
Look at that.
So we haven't said much about Joe in that Mario and Michael Andretti car. And, we've been focusing so much on those other guys that, if they can make it, they're going to be close. They're going to be really close. If they can make it, they got a lot of track position between them and Yazik and Krahula.
Branch has one, will have to go one more lap than Larkamp. Boy, it'll be tough for him.
If it was me, I'm going. I'm running out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not stopping. And I'm not hearing him lift a lot, so, you know, he might know more than we do.
So boys and girls at home, here's what's going on. We have two races. Right now, you have Kinsella and Blocker, who are racing for the lead, but we know they need to come in one more time. For some reason, the class of the field, a caution.
Oh, no, and Christopher.
Christopher.
Oh, no. Oh, and Stouffer makes contact with Big Joe. Oh, side by side with Big Joe, and they clatter side pods and get their wheels tangled up. Watch this on the replay, guys.
Big Joe going for the pass into turn 1.
Looks like Joe's car. Looks like Joe's car traveled a little bit up the apron there, Richie.
Yeah, he just washed up a little bit, and Stouffer just held firm. And that's what's going to happen when we get this close to the end. No one's going to give and take as much.
Wow.
It's just a recent incident.
It's all over. That's it.
Here he goes. He's just going to wash up, done. And that's too bad. Yep. Well, this will cycle those guys up to the front if they don't pit. These other guys are going to have to pit, but they're going to have fresher tires. So, you know, that's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yep. Now, this is maybe not the best news that Branch and Larkamp wanted, but it's not the worst news either. It will put them out in front, and they should be good to go. The question is, how about these other guys? Does Blocker, do they have to come in? Who can maybe try to stretch it?
I don't think I would pit, get the fresh tires, and then race the hell out of it the rest of the way. And that's the other thing you could think of with Larkamp and Branch. I mean, sure, you're going to make it, but you're going to be a sitting duck if those guys get to you. And here comes Kinsella's coming in. And Blocker.
Blocker, Kinsella, Hassard, Guerin, they're all coming in.
If
Branch is coming in. Branch is coming in.
I'm staying out.
And Krahula and Yazik stayed out.
Yep.
And so did Larkamp. So...
because their tires are not that old.
Now,
they weren't out there that long.
Tires are only 3 laps old. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that much, no. And so, you know, they're going to cycle to the front, and we're going to have a race on our hands here for this last run. No more fuel mileage to worry about.
And honestly, this was going to be the race anyway. It was going to come out. The splash and go was going to put those guys right behind him anyway. So this isn't. In fact, in the long run, it might be good because Larkamp's going to have a ton of cars between him and the leaders, unless I guess everyone's going to come in. Who was out first of our boys here?
I think it was Blocker.
Blocker, yeah. Beard stays out. So this is what we said. Larkamp, Krahula, Yazik, Beard all stays out. Branch didn't roll the dice. Branch came in. Well, Sean, let's go ahead and look at our profile driver. He managed to avoid the curse. Is he still out there racing? Of course, we're talking about George Anzaldo.
We're talking about my good friend George Anzaldo making his 100th start today. He is third all time on the list. 100 today in the Indy 500.
Wow.
He's got 1 pole from season 4 at Iowa. And you know what? The season before that, he won at Iowa. His only win in the series. He's got 5 top 8s, 19 top 10s. His first race was the high banks of Michigan International Speedway back in season 1, Soup.
Well, congratulations on his, I'm not sure what 100 is, your platinum anniversary, I believe, if I know my wedding anniversaries. If you're lucky enough to be married 100 years, congratulations. Must have married pretty young.
Congratulations or commiserations, whatever your whatever your point of view at the end of 100 years of marriage might be.
Okay, let's set the stage for you now. We've got all of our bookwork out of the way.
Basically, the guy who pitted and came out first, Adam Blocker, he's just in 5th spot here. So, Larkamp, Krahula, Yazik, Beard, they're going to have to hold off this group of cars behind them. We haven't talked about Dan Guerin much. He did lead a ton of laps, but he's dropped back a little bit. He's in 8th. We got the regular players, Blocker, Big Joe, Kinsella, and Dan, who've been running up front all race long now in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. Looks like the pace car lights are out.
Now, we watched Krahula. Don't be fooled by Krahula. He didn't put in a qualifying lap. We don't really know how fast he is, other than I watched him race and keep pace with the leaders from the other side of the racetrack. So I think he's quick.
Well, I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I know he's quick. So,
but right now, it's all about the man from Pennsylvania. I guess not all that far from Indiana. Stefan Larkamp.
1 lap car between them. George Anzaldo's in between Larkamp and Krahula. So that might have a play into it. But here we go. Going green.
Coming across with 23 laps of racing to go. It's the rookie from crash in the back.
Yeah, boy, that
it's
a lot of cars. Oh, Robert Bluen involved in that. Greg West. Brian Greenlee just barely got around.
Bob Mikas involved in that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, on these late race street starts, we get, there we go. He looks like he got hit from behind and just caused a huge mess. Everybody's trying to miss it and just nowhere to go.
Boy, Isaiah Dupree was really slow, and he got hit from behind. I think that really was what caused most of the stack up.
It was indeed. Well,
who was that behind him?
Mitchell Moeller, who got into the back of Dupree, and that's what scared everybody.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of that Constantine effect.
Boy, that's a lot.
Everybody wants to go. You see there's a little bit of a backup here, and then he just runs right in the back of him. And unfortunately, it just checks everybody up. Look at him scatter in the back.
Yeah, Greenlee was that last red, white, and blue car that kind of snuck through there. Saved his day.
Well, these are a few less laps that Stefan Larkamp is going to have to hold off the Stampede. And in fact, Greg West looks like he's going to pull it over. He was ahead of these guys.
He was trying to make it in. I was watching him, and he's got like 3 wheels and no rear wing. He finally just towed it.
Such a quiet, good race there, just ruined.
Looks like he'll be credited with 30th spot.
Now, hopefully, nobody got a black flag. Sometimes when those crashes happen before the start-finish line, iRacing can get a little bit cranky. I don't hear anybody complaining, so I guess we're okay. Stefan Larkamp is your leader. He has a cushion of George Anzaldo making his 100th iRace or Lionheart start today between him and James Krahula. Brian Yazik, another cushion of Scott Johnson. Then you get back to Brian Beard. Those are all the guys that did not come in the last time. Blocker, he's got fresher rubber than all of them in 5th. Joe Hazard in 6th, Kinsella in 7th, and somehow Dan Guerin manages to be the cream of the crop, the best driver, leading most of the race, as Richie Hearn documented. Somehow he finds himself now in 8th.
Yeah, we're going to have a straight-up fight here. We got 20 laps to go. Everybody's good on fuel. Pretty even on tires. Not much difference. A couple laps here and there. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another yellow, unfortunately. This is where people get amped up. And it's like, it's time to go. It's time to go.
And Sean, a driver we have not talked about very much, has snuck his way up into 10th spot. You know who I'm talking about?
Soup, I do. We haven't mentioned him in a while. Jason Galvin is, he's in this thing.
Back there behind Justin Weaver, who was racing up front. So it's all the familiar names: Blocker, Hassard, Kinsella, Guerin, Weaver, and Galvin getting into the mix. But the 4 guys up front that have been playing the strategy all race long. And look at this. George Anzaldo, a veteran of the series, doesn't want to be part of this nonsense. He's going to come down pit lane. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even stop. He probably
I wouldn't have done this. I would have done the same thing. I'm like, I'm out. I don't want any part of this. I'll just go to the back.
Yeah, my nerves can't handle that.
We got 23 cars on the lead lap, so I mean, it's not like he's going too far back.
Right. Not sure if Stefan Larkamp maybe should have checked with Stefan instead of, he might have said, no, you can stay out there, George. It's okay, because now he's got that big yellow machine behind him there.
A highlighter.
Is it yellow, Sean?
Yeah,
Car
yes.
number 2?
Yes, it would be the yellow highlighter. Yes, sir.
11-flavored car of James Krahula. Well, Crackers, I'm glad you're here with me because the lights are off the pace car. We got 20 to go. What time is it, man?
Baby, drop that disco ball down from the sky. It's time to boogie with 20 to go here in this race. Let's get this party started.
Feels like Saturday night.
It does. I only wish they could have a race this good on a Saturday night.
All right, boys, we've got time. Sean, since you're on the mic, who do you like?
I think I've said that enough. It's I'm gonna go with my old buddy Jimmy Krahula.
Richie,
I'm gonna go with either Andrew Kinsella or Dan Guerin. I think Dan, he was able to run away from those guys. I don't know how he got so far back, but I'm gonna go with a couple of guys a little deeper in the pack. Although I've been watching Brian Yazdick a lot, but I think those guys are running up front for a reason.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Guerin has been the class of the field the whole day, and I think with 19 laps of racing here as the pace car pulls in, he's got time to get there. Keep an eye on him. All right, chug-a-lug, once you want to holler hi-to-ho, it's time to go racing here at Indianapolis with 19 laps to go. It is the Pennsylvania student of, he's going to get chewed up. Larkamp is chewed up by Krahula. Krahula's been sandbagging. Yazdick goes by 2. Yazdick now under Krahula into 3. That's Johnson. That was a lap car that doesn't belong in there.
There you go. Brian Yazdick right up there to the point. I'm watching. I see back there. I can see Andrew Kinsella. Here comes James Krahula, though, on the outside down the backstretch. So he's not giving up. Not that easy.
Oh, man.
And Larkamp's into play as well.
Brian Yazdick, the official flagman of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, guys.
Okay. Yazdick, Krahula, Larkamp. Larkamp did not have a good run the first time through. Here comes that bright yellow machine. Look at diving down low. Who is that? That is Adam Blocker.
Adam Blocker.
Careful, boys.
Bringing Adam Kinsella with them.
They are catching traffic here, too. Mitchell Moeller in the middle of the track. He better get out of the way. Better run for safety.
Andrew's going to make it 3 wide here down the front stretch. You're going to see who's not going to lift. 3 wide into turn 1. Ooh. Oh, they made it. They made it. Still 3 wide. Really good respect for these guys running like that. That's pretty awesome.
James, no fear, Krahula. Man, I don't want to be high, wide, and handsome at Indy. Sorry.
Oh, got real close there with Dan Guerin and Galvin. Got real close, almost touched, I think. They might have touched.
Leading across the line, it is going to be...
Oh, Brozick's going to make it 4 wide.
He makes it work.
Boy, did he chop across Kinsella's nose there. If Kinsella didn't lift, we would have wadded up about the top 10 guys here. That was crazy.
Oh, Krahula almost gets in him. Yes. They're 3 wide. Jeez.
3 wide again. We got Krahula as the meat in the sandwich. Back to 2 wide. Ryan's going to start looking low coming out of turn 4.
This has got to be frightening for Mitchell Moeller.
It's frightening for me.
It is an angry swarm coming up. They are racing. It looks like the beginning of a
Oh!
Corola's in the wall. It's in the wall.
But he's still going
keep
to
up there.
going to bring out the yellow. I think we're going to stay under green.
No.
Yellow is out.
He got Joe Branch.
Joe Branch.
Oh, what a shame.
It would have been under green, but he got Branch, and Branch does a barrel roll into corner number 2.
James tried so hard to get that car up in the wall, and then it just bet that last bounce takes it right across.
Who does that contact with? Was that Blocker or Yazoo? Must have been Blocker here coming down into. There's the replay. You know, they were doing 3 wide so much, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah,
that was Yazoo.
Yeah.
Well, he got pushed up from the bottom, and sometimes you have to make it an open sandwich.
Yeah. I like open sandwiches. I'll get one more shot from above here.
Now, curious to see if Blocker washed up into Yazoo, who washed up into Kurula. This is a good shot right here. But can't do 3 wide forever, especially in turn 1. No, I think just Yazoo just kind of zigged up a little bit. Maybe he didn't know he was there.
Mom used to tell me you can only dance the tango so long in a china shop before you break some porcelain, and that's exactly what happened. Probably the happiest person out of all of that was Mitchell Moeller, because we at the Backmarker United meeting have no rules for getting out of the way of what was coming his way. My gosh.
Well, we've seen a lot of successes from James Carolla over the years. We've also seen some pretty bad luck and some tremendous failures, and that's going to be another one for his list of disappointments, unfortunately. I hate that for James. That was such a solid run for that IR18 today.
I mean, he really had that strategy down to a T, and it just didn't work out. It's funny, I'm listening to Adam Blocker on board and Brian Yazdick, and they are just floored trying to burn as much fuel as they can for this last 10-lap run to the end. Like, it's going to be a qualifying race.
That's interesting.
You can see on board, well, they're not doing it now, but about a half a lap ago, they were just flooring it to the rev limiter.
They need to drive out over the ocean and dump fuel, is what you're saying then, right?
That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah. Blocker, Yazdick, the 2 blue cars out in front. Big Joe Hassard, Andrew Kinsella. Richie and I's picked to get the win as he started back there. Weaver in 5th. Jason Galvin, Shawnee was 10th at the green flag. He's now 6th now, and he got ahead of Dan Guerin, who has just become an afterthought.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He didn't really. I was watching him during that last run. He wasn't able to really make any moves, so I'm just surprised that maybe he just wasn't aggressive enough. We'll see what happens here.
Larkamp started on the front. He's fallen back to 8th. Beard in 9th. Goodman in 10th. Daigle, Groff, Johnson, or Groff, if things happen crazy in front, these guys might be able to snake through. Scott Bolster still on the lead lap. Tony Schowen, Limpkeman, Dupree. 21 cars on the lead lap. Last one being Chris Lanini.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one heck of a run here. I mean, if we go all 10 laps, I'll be shocked. But basically with iRacing, if we get to lap 195, probably 196, and yellow flag comes out, race is over. So that's what they're racing for.
Scott Johnson is going to pull through pit lane. The rules don't require him to do that. If there was 10 laps to go, they would make everybody get out of the way if you're a lap down. He's going to come in and actually stop in his box. Richie, with the rules that they are, you've got a race. You cannot afford to sit back there and snake somebody with what's going to be going on. You've got to be out in front.
Yeah, you got to just go.
Yeah,
you might as well consider this like 2 laps to go at this point. And Unfortunately, Adam's going to get blown away here no matter what he does on the backstretch. I found that out in my league race there not too long ago. And so it's going to be Brian Yazik will be into the lead in turn 3, I promise you. But then it'll be up for grabs after that.
Hey, Soup, do you remember what happened last year in the final minutes of the race? We had several drivers plagued by internet failure across the whole Midwest. Was it George, Bob Mikas? A few other drivers had their connections fail within just minutes before the race servers opened. 2017 saw 33 drivers take the grid. Season 4 had the highest fill with 35, and we started with more than that. I think they set a record today, Soup, here with the number of guys. Yeah, we started 41 strong, so that is a record here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
Oh, it's a long way to the checkered flag from here. We got at least one more big one that we can get a restart on, and then one more after that we won't be able to. I'll be surprised if this one finishes under green with as close and competitive as everybody is. I thought the pace car was pulling in. Pace car's going to stay out. No, now he's coming in. All right, guys. We'll have 11 laps to go. Adam Blocker's your leader. Let's get a clean start.
We got a clean start, looks like. And like I say, watch Brian Yazik. He's just going to go right by him. There's nothing that Adam can do.
Yazik laying back. He's going to be gobbling up according to Richie Hearn. Here he comes. Well back, Joe Hazard and Kinsella.
Yeah, here he comes. You can just see it coming. Unless he decides not to make the move. But he's got the momentum. Here he goes.
So,
to the inside.
Makes the pass easily. Here comes the tandem behind him. Yep, Big Joe and Kinsella.
Whoa, that was close. Ooh, right there.
And they're tangling again, guys.
3 wide, one more time behind Blocker. They get it sorted out. Hazard moves up into second. Losing momentum now in the HPP machine is Yazik.
And Dan Guerin just had to make an evasive move with Galvin in front of him.
Larkamp sweeps underneath him.
Yeah, he had to get way out of it in turn 2. 3 wide going into turn 3. You can't keep this up forever.
Kinsella is the gray car who backs out.
Justin Weaver up in the game.
Not gonna back out.
You got Justin Weaver back up in this game as well.
Weaver was fast. These cars are punching a huge hole. That's let Yazik back into the mix on the low side. Jason Galvin.
Unfortunately, if they're 3 wide and you're running 4th, there's nowhere for you to go.
Oh! He saves it. It's Justin Weaver.
Wow.
He got tapped behind by Kinsella.
It's Garrett down in the grass, trying to make the pass in the grass.
When in doubt, flat out.
Wow.
That
was awesome.
That allows the front 2 to pull away. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it. The blue car on the low side. That is Blocker. On the top side is Big Joe Hazard. But the gangs are coming.
Oh, yeah. They're going to come back right up to him. There's no way they're going to be able to pull away with that many cars behind them.
It didn't take him long to get back in the picture. Dan Garrett in 3rd.
I was just going to say, Dan has survived a couple of close ones here, and he's moved himself back up into playing for this win. He did lead most of the laps, so it's good to see that green and black car up there.
If the racing gods are just, they will let Garrett get the win, but we know they are not.
He's going to make it 3 wide. 3 wide. Dan's going to go for the lead from the outside lane if he can get around Big Joe.
Yeah, Big Joe's not going to lift. I'm telling you, man. Nerves of steel in that dude. He is not giving Guerin a thing.
Guerin going to go to the top side again. They race in 3-2 zone formation.
And now you got Andrew Kinsella. Looks like, is that Jason Galvin? They got nowhere to go. They got the pace, but they got nowhere to go if these guys are spread out like that.
Oh, Big Joe with the move.
He's going to go to the front. See if he can clear Blocker. Doesn't look like it. Not be able to clear him just yet.
No, Joe, watch out.
Blocker down low. Big Joe up high. Here he comes, trying to put the toothpaste in the tube. Was Dan Guerin, nowhere to go.
I thought it's in the jar. It's in the jar, right? We put toothpaste in the jar. So
that's how we do it out here in Southern California. Galvin has worked his way up to 4th.
Here comes Dan Guerin on the outside of Big Joe. Once again, they're going 3 wide into turn 1. We've seen this formation before.
We've gone to lap 5 now. This is where we get to the point of no return.
Effectively, you got to treat this as the white flag lap. You know, if we keep going after this, the next flag finishes the race.
They were at 227 miles an hour into turn 1, 3 wide. 3 wide down the back stretch, into 3, guys. Here we go again. Oh, Dan Guerin running out of racetrack.
It's important to lead coming across the line, and it's going to go to the blue car, I think. 3 wide.
You know,
Blocker is the leader.
We have had some great racing on GSRC this weekend, and we've got another one going here. 3. Oh.
Yeah, I know Dan keeps trying to go around the outside. I don't think he can make it work. If it was up to me, I'd go down below, get right behind Blocker, and try to squeeze Joe out instead of trying to pass on the outside. He's going to run out of tire at some point.
Galvin with a great run down below, but nowhere to put the car when they're 3 wide in front. Blocker has been able to control everything so far. He's going to lead another lap.
And we have a caution. Bart Workman gets into it.
Caution is out, and I believe that's going to give the win to Adam Blocker. Guerin was making a run, but he's going to run out of time. He's going to get 2nd. Big Joe Hassard gets 3rd. And once again, a yellow flag for someone racing for an insignificant position.
Isaiah Dupree we're on board with Workman. It's going to start with Isaiah Dupree up there up top. He's going to clatter against the wall and
he's
get
just
right into Workman.
Get into the gray, and that was just unfortunate situation. Nobody was doing anything wrong. It's just the way it ended.
Wow. Kinder than this commentator.
It's one thing if they're racing stupid, but he just got up high. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Well, what was set up to be something dramatic to go down in the archives of Lionheart history, they still put on a great show, but it's going to go to Adam Blocker. We talked about it. You got to be out in front, and he was that for most of that battle.
He knew how to play it. Just run on the bottom and just see what happens, and he got the yellow flag when he didn't. Like you said, Dan Guerin was ever so close, but much better finishes than he's had in the past.
Richie, you said at the beginning of this race, in the pre-race, when we were watching qualifying, you didn't really care much about that qualifying time. Adam Blocker, well, he held your theory up pretty well. He did start 33rd today, and he's going to win the Indy 500.
Yeah, and he did a good job with the fuel strategy, and when it came time to race, he had the car to do it. And congrats to him. And it's nice to see Dan finish 2nd. I know he wanted to win, but he did lead a ton of laps, and he was able to muscle his way right up to the front.
Something that isn't mentioned during the whole broadcast is this race is for double points. So this is going to help Blocker.
Triple crown.
Yeah, help Blocker in the points battle. He currently sits, and I believe he's back in about 8th position, so he'll be able to move up some.
You know, we talked about Pierre Degla early in this race. He stayed out of trouble. He's going to get a top 10 for his effort today. A lot of guys from deep in the field are going to finish in the top 20 that had really solid days and really didn't get in any trouble. Brendan Limkeman is another one of those. You couldn't start much further back than he did, and he stayed out of trouble, and he'll get a top 15 finish today.
Yeah, and he finished on the lead lap, so it's not like he just messed around back there. He's solid 14th spot on the lead lap, starting 40th. So, it's like I said, the qualifying doesn't really matter that much. The only problem is you add extra risk But if you can get through those couple of wrecks like we had at the beginning, you'll be there in the end.
Those guys who are doing the alternate strategy, Stefan Larkamp's going to get 6th. We're looking for Brian Yozik. He's going to be much farther down the list.
Yeah, well, he got caught up in that wreck.
Yep.
So he disconnected. He's 6 laps down, so he didn't make it. And him and James Krahula finished basically right next to each other.
27th for Krahula.
Actually, all 3 of those guys, Yozik, Krahula, and Joe Branch, the ones we were watching on that strategy, all ended up getting wadded up in that one wreck.
Stefan Larkamp, the only one to run that strategy, is going to bring it home inside the top 10 with the 6th place finish. The race might have been his if it had stayed green. Well, he goes under the white flag. Adam Blocker gets it. He negotiates behind the pace car. Heading into 2. Down the back straight. Sean, it was a good one today. It was exciting up front. It's a shame we couldn't let the action play out up there, but it's all part of it, and Blocker knew what he was doing.
You can still hear the air running out from the balloon, okay? I mean, it's the chat everywhere. I mean, we're all just shattered right now that this race didn't finish under green. What an amazing green flag run it had in basically 2/3 of this race, more than 2/3 of this race under green. We picked up a few cautions late, but that last caution, man, that's tough. Adam Blocker is extremely happy. I got to feel like Big Joe is probably feeling more disappointed than anybody right now. I really thought he had a legitimate shot there to take the win, and but you know what? It's how it goes sometimes. It was a great race, and a few guys came up short that looked really strong early, but Adam Blocker really earned this one, and again, you know, earns it for the back of the field, and just, man, I know my dad always liked to race from the back of the field, but congratulations.
And here he comes, unless some type of unforeseen disaster strikes Adam Blocker. He's going to get credit with winning the 2018 Lionheart IndyCar Series iRace for Gage 500.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. He earned it. He started 30-30, raced his way up to the front, had great strategy going for a while, then was able to readjust it to get back onto the pace as everybody else, and he had a fast enough car. I mean, Big Joe really tried to run that middle lane, and he tried to get around him and just couldn't make it happen, and you know, it's just the way it goes. Like we said, it's a 500-mile race. It's not 504 miles, so that's how you got to run the race. Everybody has the same rules.
Well, as they pull the milk bottle out of the refrigerator, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back to run down the finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate here at the Brickyard. Back in a few. Welcome back to the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500 and the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. If you're struggling to find something for the person who has everything, do I have the website for you? Plasma-tracks.com not only produces original racetrack wall art, motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsports fabrications are also available. Words cannot do justice to the uniqueness of their wares. The only way to fully appreciate the artwork is to see it for yourself, but be warned, one visit to the website and the next thing you know, you'll be trying to convince your spouse why you need a plasma track wall art hanging in your home. See it all at plasma-tracks.com. Use this promo code LRS2018 to get 25% off your order. And now let's look at 100% of the finishing order here of the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500. It is Adam Blocker who comes home a half second ahead of Dan Guerin under yellow. Guerin, the class of the field for most of the day, led for laps led, but unfortunately he'll have to settle for second. Nevertheless, good finish is what that man needed. Big Joe Hassard comes home in third, Andrew Kinsella behind him. Jason Galvin made a good run at the end. He comes home inside the top 5. Back half of your top 10, Stefan Larkamp, who had a chance to steal the win if it would have stayed green. Michael Goodman, Justin Weaver, Pierre Nightingale in 9th, and a quiet 10th place for Scott Bolster. Richard?
Yeah, we got coming in 11th spot. We got Brian Beard and then Tyler Groff in 12th. Tony Schoen in 13th. Brandon Linkerman in 14th. Great job started 40th, stayed on the lead lap, got a top 15 finish from him. Matthew Mercer finishes 15th. Samuel Ryman comes in 16th. Chris Lanini in 17th. Bart Workman in 18th. And George Anzaldo, our founder, in 19th. Then we got Ron Hacker rounding out the top 20.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna take the rest here, guys. I'm gonna let you guys have a little bit of break.
All right.
Mitchell Moeller, 21st. Scott Johnson, 22nd. Dave Cordy, 23rd. Isaiah Dupree, 24th. Brian, it isn't always being Greenlee there, 25th today. Yazik, a couple of Phantom 4Xs today, apparently. Really ruined his day. 26th for him, 27th for James Carolla. Man, what could have been for both of those drivers today and back in basically the back of the field now. Joe Branch, 28th. Robert Bluen, 29th. He will take some incidents today, unfortunately. Greg West gets caught up late and having a solid run. He does finish 30th. Bob Mike is 31st. Christopher, 32nd. 33rd to Dylan McKenna. Ken Hacker, 34th. 35th to Ian Adams. Pete Edwins, 36th. 37th to Jack Bogan. Woody Mahan, 38, 39. Vincent Blumenthal. The Racing Kangaroo, Michael Gray, 40th. 41st for Dustin Wardlow. He was the first man out. And Richie Hearn wrecked on the grid. So there you go. That's your field.
On the way to the grid.
All right, I'm lucky enough to be able to get a hold of our race winner here today. He has a couple wins already under his belt this season, but nothing's going to be sweeter than winning the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500. Adam Blocker, congratulations.
Yeah, I can't believe it. That was a crazy race. I pretty much made all the mistakes I could make, and then somehow I just I fought back and I won. I mean, I started 33rd. I messed up in qualifying and got a 0x, which invalidated my hot lap, and I took it easy through the first few yellows, and then in the first yellow, Joe Branch and I, my teammate, saw that literally everyone else was pitting, so we stayed out, and that kind of put us toward the front for the next big green cycle that took most of the race distance. But the thing was that we were always behind on strategy because we had less fuel at the beginning, so we had to make up time. And then I also had an incident with David Cordy where I got super sideways in 4, and I had full opposite lock. I don't know how I didn't crash. I was pretty sure I was done, and I lost time there. And then I slid my box twice during green pit stops. So yeah, it was pretty messy. But somehow I caught up back to Andrew, and we were fighting, and we were working together. And I think we had a good chance of winning if it stayed green. But we got the caution, and yeah, then it was just mayhem. I think I went from 4th to 1st on the backstretch, and then I just held the inside for the rest of the time, which was pretty difficult because my tires were heating up, and I had to judge how much to lift and how much to cheat over. How much can I squeeze the other guys over on the straight to get a wider line into the corner. It was pretty intense, and I knew at any time I could just slide into them and cause a massive accident. So yeah, but it worked out and I won. So.
Are you using the iRacing spotter? Because he must have been going crazy with all the side-by-side actions going on out there.
Yeah, the iRacing spotter was pretty useless because he couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I only had like 1 or 2 moments where, I didn't quite know how many people were next to me, but I just left the extra space and made it through. So.
What line was it that you were out there? You were at the end. Of course, you know that you're in the situation now. If the yellow comes out, that the race is over, so you've got to be leading. The middle line, is that what you kind of like to be in?
To be honest, at the end, I liked the bottom the most, just because it was the shortest line around the corner, and the thing was, if it were just 2 cars, the middle line might be better. But the fact that all these other cars were fighting, and the car behind me couldn't like drop back and then get a huge run down the straight, he had to stay close behind me, so they never got like a huge slingshot effect. So they never really got unlocked from me, so I could just stay on the bottom. And even though I had to lift a little bit, the shorter distance around the corner, allowed me to stay in front. I was kind of nervous though, because a few times they were beating me to the line, and also my tires were starting to heat up, and I don't know if they would have lasted the last few laps, but we didn't need to find out. So. Yep.
It worked out well for you. You had the car out in front when it mattered. Congratulations on the second jewel of the Triple Crown win. Nobody can take this one away from you. You are the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 500 winner, and the $100 that goes with it.
Yeah, thanks, Soup. I want to thank you guys for calling the race. I also want to thank my team. They were a big help. Andrew and Andrew Stouffer and Joe Branch worked with me a good bit during the race, and Tony was giving us fuel numbers, and everybody was running pretty strong. I guess some of them had issues, but it was also a pretty good day for adrenaline and the points. And I also want to thank George and all the league admins for putting on this really amazing league, and this race is pretty representative of this league. I think it was a really good race. We went green for a long time, and we had some really clean racing at the end, despite how close we were to each other.
Adam Blocker, your winner today. Double points are going to help him in the standings. Okay, who you got next there, Sean? Or is it Richie?
Yeah, Richie's caught up with Dan.
Dan, how you doing?
Doing all right. You?
Oh, we're out of breath from calling that race.
Should have been on my end of it.
I bet. We were watching, and I'm sure you're a little disappointed to just missing out on that win, and after leading the most laps and being pretty dominant. But I know we've broadcasted kind of your bad luck this year, and so I'm sure it feels kind of a relief to come home and at least in the top 2.
Oh yeah, my luck this year has definitely not been with it. These little top 3s are doing good for me, but I'd rather get that win. I just needed one more lap, and I'm so glad these cautions came late, because I was looking to have to pit with about 3 gallons. I was short 3 gallons, and I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah, there was about we were chronicling that. There was about 4 guys there, Larkamp, Yazik, Kruhola, and Branch. They were going to be able to make it, and so but they got caught up in a wreck, and then the yellow flag came out and kind of brought all you guys back in. So and then you got kind of stuck back there in about 8th or 9th spot. I was watching you and weren't really able to make some moves, and all of a sudden you were there, and you muscled your way around Big Joe, and just slightly short there.
Oh yeah, I'm fine. It's coming in second. As I said, it's been a horrible year, so I'm going to take a second any day of the week. But yeah, I got marred back there in about 8th and 9th, and then I knew it was going to be crazy with the last 30 laps to go. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'll just pick my way through it. And then a couple guys got together. I think Joe and Stouffer got together. I dodged Stouffer there coming out of the short shoot in 1 and 2. And then a couple other guys got together a few laps later on the backstretch, and I went from about 7th up to 3rd, and then worked my way around Joe on the high side. And that high side was working good. And my teammate, Ken Hacker there, he was telling me about the high side and how well it was working. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? If need be, I will try that. So it was doing just fine for me.
Yeah, I know we just had Adam on there, and he ran the low side, and he said he was really struggling to keep it down there with his tires heating up, and you were on the outside. So yeah, I think if we could have gone one more lap, you might have had the momentum to get around him. But anyways, congratulations. It was really exciting to watch. Great job out there, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks. I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors here, Lock Precision, Dave Barber, and Midwest Simulations, Scott Rupp. And a big thank you to all my team members.
Okay, there you have it, our second place finisher, and one more for Sean. Who you got?
Yep, I have caught up with the Big Joe show. Joe Hassert. Joe, my old friend, victory eludes you once again, man. I did everything short of pull the pom-poms out there at the end. Talk us through the last few laps of the race. No, all that, and Joe's not there. Joe, have you got us?
Am I here now? All
You're
right.
here now.
Well, I appreciate that, Sean. I think I've done everything there is to do but find that victory circle here this year, but we're getting back in the groove. We're back in the points race, and so I think we're making progress. So just gotta get some of those road courses under my belt. But man, those last laps were crazy. Those guys that were on that alternate strategy or were able to save fuel. I was chalking up a 10th. I was chalking up 10th place, and then it was my fault that yellow came out on 75. I don't know if I didn't give him enough room or I came out of the corner too wide, but me and Chris got into it, and I apologize to him if I think it was my fault, but I think we were just racing hard.
Well, there were a few laps there when you guys were 3 wide through every turn on the track, and and Soup's like, somebody's got to lift, and I'm like, well, Joe Hassert's not lifting. Big Joe's not lifting, so somebody else is going to have to lift first. But man, that was exciting. You had us all on the edge of our seats. I'm sorry it doesn't result in a win, but man, you got a podium in the Indian 500. You got to be pretty happy.
I'm pretty happy. You know, I had, going into the break, I was hoping to. My personal goal was to win Michigan and win Indy. And I thought that would put me right up there in the standings, but a second and a third is really good. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, Jacek sent it 4 wide. That last, oh boy, butt cheeks were clenched. I was just hoping that it wouldn't collect me. But yeah, me, Dan, and Blocker, we went 3 wide or all the way around the track for about 3 laps there.
Amazing.
It was weird because I was getting runs off of guys in 3 and 4 on the outside, but I couldn't get around Adam. And I was just trying to keep Dan behind me too. Because I wanted to make sure I finished. That's kind of been my goal this year. So, but I had a chance to win and we got that caution. I don't know. I think the way I killed my tires that last stint, I probably would have finished behind Kinsella too. So, I think the yellow got me a position, so I'm happy about that. It's been a good run. I'm glad Jason got a good run too. It's tough seeing James go out there, but I think everybody was just racing really hard at the end there, and we knew it was gonna be crazy. The practice races were all crazy like that. Hope we put on a good show.
Hey, thank your sponsors and friends. We got to get out of here.
I just thank my teammates. And my life sponsor, Mosaic, give them a shout out again. But I appreciate all the work you guys do sitting here and watching us run in circles for 3 hours. Some of you would probably rather be on the track than calling it, but it's all part of the show. So thank you.
I belong up here, Joe, so I'm totally okay with being in the booth, buddy.
Sounds good.
You guys are the real pros down there on track, my friend. Hey, congratulations again. We'll catch up with you soon. That's
all right.
Big Joe Hassert, the Big Joe Show, coming home in 3rd place. And Soup, that means it's time to put a bow on this and wrap it up.
The race may not have finished under green, but we're going to take this thing out green flag from here on out. Let's first of all thanks First Medical Equipment. They've been the source of medical supplies and equipment in Burlington, Iowa for just for almost forever. Their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service. Richie?
And then we got Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add instant immersion to any game. Unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker products move actual mass producing a haptic immersion. There you go. That's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver to car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use the promo code LION20 to get 20% off your next order.
HPP Simulations And when it's time to go sim racing, nothing beats the feel of a true hydraulic racing system from HPP Simulations, designed and manufactured in the USA on state-of-the-art CNC equipment. HPP hydraulic pedals and their accessories set the standard for simulation racing. For more information, please visit hppsimulation.com.
And to contact any of the sponsors you see on the screen right now, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com. Click on the 2018 sponsors. Read or scroll to the bottom where you can click on the company logo.
We're still under green. On the screen now are just some of the companies, equipment, and software that made this broadcast possible. The iconic original music that lets your ears alert your eyes you're watching a GSRC production comes courtesy of Eric Echolm and June Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them.
The Lionheart IndyCar Series returns Wednesday, July 25th from the Milwaukee Mile. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us, folks. Sliding across your screen now are some upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Best thing you can do, though, is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll never lose touch with what we've got going on. If you would like more information about the Global Sim Racing channel, including a complete list of future broadcasts, go to our website, globalsimracingchannel.com. Find us on social media at Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel. We're also on Instagram, GSRC_Graham. And don't forget to subscribe. And also don't forget, folks, at 8:45 p.m. Eastern this evening, the majors from Silverstone, Lotus 79 action.
White flag is out, finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard. That was Sean Crackers Ambrose. The other guy in the booth with me, Richie Hearn, and our director, Amjad Yaman, camera artist, Dougie Beard. We'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, you know where we're going. We're off to have fun, storm of the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.